On this episode of Playlog, I'm sitting down with the DJStormageddon to talk about game reviews, podcasting, and everything else that they're known for. Hey guys, CGDannyB back again with another episode of Playlog, the podcast where we talk all things indie gaming. But of course, I can't talk indie games alone because that'd be super boring. So, since Tofr is away, the children's out play, I have a new friend here today, a great old friend over here from Fun and Games Podcast. We have Matt Storm, a.k.a. Stormageddeon. What is poppin', homie? How we doing?
Good. Happy to be here. You know, I know that we were supposed to do this maybe the end of last year for several reasons and never got around to it.
No.
Some of us were busy, maybe didn't keep up with stuff, playing too many. You know, that age-old problem about there's too many games.
Yeah, it's always, listen, we talk about every time. We're just like, oh, this game looks cool. I wonder if I'll get a chance to play it. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, no, one day that'll happen. But I'm happy we could finally get you to swing in and actually be on the show, because that's just been a pain point, period, in life with anybody on here. But yeah, for anyone at home who's either listening or checking out, they're like, who's Matt Storm? What is this? Who's Matt Storm? Who are you? And what do people need to know before they start listening to your words?
Who am I? What an existential question in this, the year of our Lord 2026 that I'm still... We're still early enough in January where I still want to say 2025. Even though it is absolutely not 2025. Yeah. So I am a podcaster and DJ. I've been doing those things for over 13 years, which makes me want to turn to dust. And I host two podcasts, both around video games. One is called the Fun and Games Podcast, which is the most overlap with this podcast. It's mostly focused on indie and video game discussions. And then we also occasionally do interviews and we talk about AAA games. We do all sorts of stuff. I do that with the incredible Jeff Moonen. And then I have a play-along podcast called Reignite, started as a Mass Effect podcast, and now we're covering the Dragon Age franchise. We're currently playing through Dragon Age 2, and I do that with the incredible Frankie Bradley Lestrange. I used to do like 8 podcasts, but not everything lasts forever, so now we're just doing 2, and honestly, it feels a lot more manageable. Yeah, and I've been doing this thing for a while. We cover, on Funny Games, we cover live events like PAX. We've gone to MagFest. We've done Comic-Con and FlameCon, all sorts of stuff, and then interviewed composers, developers. As of when we're recording, the most recent episode that went up was we interviewed Jack Breen, the solo dev of Gigasword, which was a great conversation. And so that kind of stuff. We've got irons in the fire for other indie dev chats. I'll talk more about that as we get into what we've been playing lately. But yeah, that's kind of the broad strokes.
Hell yeah. There you have it, guys. That's Matt. Thanks for watching. That's everything.
All right, see you later.
Yeah. No, like I said, we bet at PAX a while back, and we'll talk about that as we get into, you know, the more of the We Have Cool Friends episode of who's Matt? Who's on this episode? But yeah, I think this will be fun, and it's a real testing ground of like, what does it look like for Danny just to interview a friend about who they are and what they do. So you're guinea pigging it today. That'll be great.
Happy to do it.
Yeah. But before we keep rolling any further, let's do a little bit of housekeeping here as I go back to the tab that I need. Because if you're listening to this is Playlog Podcast, our weekly podcast. We talk about indie games, news, reviews, and whatever we choose. If you enjoy what we do here, be sure to do a few simple things to support the show, such as liking the video if you're on YouTube or leaving that glorious 5-star review if you're on audio platforms. It's simple, but it goes a long way in helping the show. You can also be a part of the show by writing in and asking us your questions or recommending your favorite indie games in the description of every single YouTube episode. Also Spotify, I don't know the YouTube one. It's fine. We ramble here. Real quick, I have a little thing to mention to you guys. Do you like watching me and my hot D&D friends play make-believe? Then boy, do I have a show for you. We're in the middle of our new series that's basically Power Rangers meets Giant Monsters with Kaiju Commandos. The Fall Crew is back with our 5-part series inspired by Power Rangers being run in the Glitter Heart system. We're a group of college students who are given the powers of legendary Kaiju. I'm playing Ashton Stewart, who's a gearhead who just wants to take care of his friend Riley. And yes, our Kaijus are Godzilla and Mothra. It's really cute. We've already premiered the first 2 episodes, which you can watch right now on YouTube. And for the next 3 Sundays, you can catch us live with some kaiju fighting goodness. So catch us on Sunday, January 25th, February 1st, and February 8th on twitch.tv/hackrecklessly. That's HACKRECKLESSLY. I'm going to try to condense these next week. I have 3 games to tell you guys about, and I can't do a hot D&D friends for all 3 of them. And then I have like 5 more after that planned for 2026. I'm just gonna start doing, hey, this week you can find me here, here, and here. Thanks for watching. And that's the plan.
Stop being so busy, Danny.
Listen, let me tell you, I have one time We'll talk about TTRPGs and tables, board games, and everything later because I know that's still in your wheelhouse. Yeah. I watch it. I watch My Hero Academia with one friend. He's like, "Hey, this is great. I want to run a My Hero Academia game. Would you want to play?" I'm like, "That sounds fun. I've only ever played D&D, so sure." And we played Kids on. I think it was Kids with Brooms for that one, is how we played that. Then Fred was like, "Hey, here are my other friends." And then other friends like, "Do you want to come play Fallout on my channel? Do you want to come do this on my channel? Do you want to come play Mutants and Masterminds? You want to go here?" I'm like, "What did I do? I don't understand." And then I'm just like, I don't know that I'm good at this. And so I look at my schedule. I'm like, "No, maybe I'm kind of good at this. Maybe I'm pretty good at this. This is fun." But yeah, TTRPGs are great. Role-playing's fun. I enjoy it a lot. But yes, that is some housekeeping. So real quick before we get into the topic of the show, we do have a quick news article we want to go over because this past week, Coffee Talk Tokyo was delayed. We're going to take a quick look over here from Jill Grote over at the Indie Informer. I switched my scenes, so I'm going to have to do this one. There we go. Cool. I had to fix buttons for our Game of the Year episode, and I did not reset my scene, so I have to do that for next week.
Wait, streamers do that in advance? They change stuff before they go live? In my experience, we just fumble through it while
typically,
we're on air.
We'll see. My other option is I would do this, right? I'd be like, "Oh, here's the bottom one. Oh, shoot, you're way over there." I'm like, "Matt, read the article." And then I'm doing but I don't have time for that. I'm trying to look professional.
I get it.
But yes, this one is from Jill Grote over at the Indie Informer. Tokyo Productions celebrates its 17th anniversary with a presentation filled with big announcements. The team has been behind a slew. The team has been behind a slew of indie darlings, including A Space for the Unbound, When the Past Was Around, and most notably for this presentation, the Coffee Talk series. You can watch the entire event here, and then there's a link for it. Though I have included below a score of key announcements that came out of today's show. And then there's a bunch of announcements. I haven't watched the Toge presentation yet, but the one we're focusing on here is the Coffee Talk delay. It is true, though the anticipated follow-up has been delayed, don't despair. The Net of Adventure is only moved a couple months back and has a definitive release date. Expect to jump back in on May 21st to give fans a treat in the initial release window. The team announced the original Coffee Talk is coming to mobile devices on March 20th. As to why the game is moving, here's what the team had to say. Quote, "This additional time will allow the team to further polish the experience and make sure everything feels just right when players finally step behind the counter in Tokyo." And then the rest of the article features everything else from the Toge presentation. But Matt, first, you play Coffee Talk? The first two at least?
Yep. I love those games. So Jeff and I have been very lucky to become quite friendly with the folks over at Toge. They were one of our earliest interviews at PAX and have been following their stuff since the original Coffee Talk and A Space for the Unbound. And I was lucky enough to get review codes for both those games, play them on Switch, and I love them. I mean, they're this perfect mix of like vibes and just like narrative that really worked for me. And so, am I bummed about the delay? Sure. But am I also excited that they get time to polish it and make it the best it can be? Absolutely, because that's all I want out of these games, because I really dug the first two. I'm excited that they're spinning it off so they can keep Fatmi's original vision as it is, and then kind of do something new in that world, but like have a narrative with a new writer that doesn't really touch what Fami saw for that before he passed. So right. That kind of a thing. And I think that's a really respectful way to do it. I think that clearly there is a love for these characters in this franchise. And it does look like some of those characters will reappear in Tokyo. We've seen them in the trailers. So yeah, bummed for all delays. I'm always a little bummed, but mostly understanding, because I want these games to get to be able to be the best that they are, and all of these delays are in service of that. Yeah, absolutely. I think it is weird thinking back to a high school Danny who would be like, "Oh, this game got announced and got delayed." I'm like, "No, I'll never get to play this one game that I can't wait for. Like, it's my entire life is this game." Where now we're reviewing games every single week, every single day, and whatever. I'm like, "Oh, it got delayed? Perfect. My schedule opened up just a little bit more. Take your time. Do your thing." But yeah, I'm really excited for Tokyo. I still have to finish 2. I think I got like halfway through it. We were streaming it, and then something came up. I'm like, "Oh, this big game Shadow." It's probably Hades 2 is what happened. And but yeah, no, I really dug what I got from 2. I think I was really getting into the characters for Coffee Talk episode 2. Chapter 2? Episode 2. Okay, cool. Episode 2. I was really digging that one, so I want to get back in before Tokyo drops. And that little delay just means I get to procrastinate a little bit more. But yeah, Coffee Talk's fun. Like, I like the
visual novel, make my coffees and drinks for everybody vibe. It's really simple. And then getting to sit and do the voices, whether I'm on stream or to myself, of just like, this is fun. This is cute. I found my characters. This is adorable. But yeah, take your time. Make the game great. We love it.
Yep, totally.
Yeah. For 2, right? Fame, did the game release before Fame passed, or?
No, so I think for the first one, came out just after, but I believe he had written both games, and then they brought in a few other writers to like just finish this, like the overarching narrative. I think for 1 and 2 were done, that was done, and then just the individual dialogue and punch ups for some of it is what they brought additional writers in for. This is to my knowledge. But I don't know if the first game came out before he passed. I know the second one definitely came out after he passed for sure. But I don't remember if the first one did.
Yeah, cool. Well, yeah, like you mentioned with the spin-offs, to be able to keep doing Coffee Talk, right? And then even that inspiring other games similar. We had a Tavern Talk, which not the same development team, but same vibe, but we D&D-ify Coffee Talk. I'm like, that's cool. Like, we always talk about, like, with roguelikes, right? Where someone does something unique, and then you get the Vampire Survivors, like you get the Blueprints, like, and who's going to keep making things like this type of roguelike. And when you have that kind of subgenre defining indie, that's cool. Let's keep making things like this. I'll take all the Coffee Talks we can get. Just maybe reduce them in time a little bit so I can actually play through them all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, dope. Coffee Talk, that'll be out in May. So just before the summer, you guys can check that one out too. That's what we got for quick indie news, which means now we just get to kick back, relax, and hear from the myth themselves, Matt Storm. So Matt, welcome to Playlog. It's great to have you.
Happy to be here.
I guess initially we're like, who's Matt Storm now? But now we need to move it to the front. So now how do we segue into talking about you? I guess you're cool. That's chill. I guess we can talk where we met first, because we met at PAX East 2024.
Yes,
right?
That sounds correct.
I keep going to say 23 because I'm like, yeah, it was 2 years ago, but we just finished it. Yeah, so it would have been 24. Jacob had booked we went to the bar, tavern, little brewery place. And at that point I had done side quests. I had done my Moonlighter episode. Yes. But I didn't have a face to put with you at that point. So I was just like, yeah, and then you sat at the table. I was like, oh, hey, yes, Matt Storm. And we just kind of started to shoot the shit about whatever games we were talking about. But tell people why I'm amazing and you stuck around with me.
Oh, I see. No, yeah, I remember because Jacob and I are very close and go a ways back in the indie podcast community. And when he was telling me about the panel that he was doing that you were going to be on and mentioned you and I had interacted a little on social, and like I had seen some of your stuff, but I didn't really know who you were. I had just seen your logo around, and I was like, oh, okay, CGDannyB. And then like was talking about the panel and all of that, and I went, oh, okay. And then started to check out some of your stuff, and I was like, oh, I should reach out to this person. They seem up and coming in the space and like doing some really cool stuff. Maybe they want to do a side quest, which is usually how I rope people into my world. And you agreed to do Moonlighter. You were really stoked about it. Got it to me pretty quickly. Maybe not the same for your second episode, but listen, whatever.
It was so tough.
But you were really responsive and kind and eager, and so that was really lovely. And then that was just kind of like in the back of my head. But then when I realized we were doing that meetup at East and you were going to be there, I was like, oh, cool. Then we could chat, and we got to chatting. And I mean, there's a vibe to you that you meet a lot of people at PAX, and there are some people who just don't have that vibe, and that's totally okay. You can't get along with everybody, right? Most people are polite and lovely, even if they're not going to be your bestie. But like, there's a vibe that I attribute to folks like you and Adam Gumbert and other people that like, if I can fuck with them, if I can give them shit and they take it and then throw it right back, we're going to be friends forever.
Exactly.
That's like how I test friendships. And like the fact that I could pick on you and you could take it and you play along and like never got upset, like that is the mark of someone I can really get to know and hang out with. And we've become fast friends since, seen each other at conventions, chat all the time, collaborated a bunch. And like, I love participating and stuff with you because you've got this infectious energy that's it's hard to ignore. And so it's a delight to work with you. But yeah, that first PAX, I'd met a lot of people because I also met your entourage who were there with you as well. Also a bunch of lovely folks, Kanai and the rest, and Chris and all of them. And it's been fun to just kind of get to know them and you better. And like you got so integrated so fast into this community in a way that's really astonishing. I mean, I would say the same for like the No Small Games girlies and like a bunch of other folks who just like when you meet people who are kindred spirits, there is almost no barrier to entry at that point. And I feel the same way about Kate and Emily, about the Date With Us folks, like all of these folks who are newish to podcasting, but like really into it, newish to like games coverage, but like really has a passion for it, but also wants to build that community. And I think that's what I like best about you and other newer folks that I've met, is that it's clear that you're not just in this to like make a quick buck, which there is no bucks to make basically in this space, but like you're here because you want to build a community, you want to collaborate with others, you want to, you know, it's what I always say, a rising tide raises all ships, and you can immediately recognize in that in someone versus the people who are like, yeah, I just want free games and like to like dick around in the space, like, and those people don't last. It's the folks like you who stick around and like keep doing it, innovating, finding other ways. And like when I first met you, this podcast didn't even exist. You were like, I think I'm toying around with the idea of making a podcast, and then lo and behold, several years later, you're going strong, tons of indie coverage. So yeah, you know, you love to see it.
Yeah, you literally were like one of the reasons we started doing a podcast, right? I had this little sticky note, and I've told the story, multiple stories, including you, on this podcast, where I was like, 6-1 brought me on for an episode because Mike was out of town, so I did that, and that's where Jacob found me. And then Jacob's like, do you want to do this panel? And then you're like, oh, this Danny guy exists. And then PAX came together, and that PAX 24 was the overwhelming, like, I am both holding the hands of the friends that I've brought along for this panel that they want to see me do, while also trying to meet put the face to the username that I've seen so many times. Like, okay, this is a Matt, this one's a Jeff. Okay, Mike and Kyle, I've seen them enough on camera, but like they're 3D, they're real now. I remember interrupting a conversation with Mike. I'm like, you can't hide from me all weekend, bitch. And then like walked away. And then, meeting, I've seen Jacob, I've heard the name Jacob before. I just finding all these new people to interact with, and then coming back and being like, let's be on Crossplay Conversations. Let's plan another episode of Side Quest. Let's do another 6-1 like, let's do blah, 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 blah. And I did this video where I was just like, so I came back and I did a podcast and another podcast and another podcast and another podcast and another podcast. And I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of chill with this. Let's do more. So then I had reached out to Tofr, who had just like kind of quit content creation. I was like, I don't have the time, the bandwidth to play, record, edit, and do everything. So that's me. Go check out Danny. He does everything I do better. I was like, wait, before you quit, I wanted to ask you something. And we've been doing Playlog since, and it was still the rough road of just kind of throwing a dart and seeing what hits and what lands, and like, oh, cool. How do audio services work? Because those ones seem quiet, but the YouTube ones hit or miss. And I think having a couple people in a circle where I can be like, okay, let me see how they did this or what they did. Or I think there's been a couple of times where I'm like, do you know how the video works on Spotify? Is that worth doing? I don't know. No idea? Okay, I won't fuck with it then. But yeah, you've been that inspiration content wise. And then I've mentioned the story, and I think I've told you this story. But at that first meeting, we were having a conversation. I was talking about you to Jacob, like in this weird triangle conversation where I was like, oh yeah, he over here. And you were like correcting me, like, oh, they. And I was like, at that point, I had quite a few people who got very like viscerally reactive towards that, where I was like very like reserved, like I will do my best. It sounds toxic, but let me avoid people with they, them pronouns because they always yell at me when I fuck it up. And you corrected me, and I was just like, hey, I do that a lot. I'm just talking really fast. Just slap me and tell me I did it. And like immediately you were just like, don't worry about it. It happens. I still do it myself. And like, that was the first time I was just like, oh, people can be chill about it. And like in that conversation, it sounds so problematic to be like, oh, they, thems are always upset about it. But like, that was a moment where I was just like, oh, cool. I feel at ease now. I feel like I always have to be on the edge of like, I fucked up pronouns. Someone's going to hate me. And it's been so much better than since. But like, that is just one of those like core memory milestone things that I have. I'm like, that's a Matt Storm memory. I have it. So I'll always appreciate that.
Oh, I mean, you know, it's one of those things where it's like I say to people, I was a boy for 30 years, and so I often forget as well.
Yeah.
But also, like, I don't know, I get why people get frustrated, especially if they're dealing with it all the time, and I get my fair share of frustration too. But I will never be frustrated with a person who's making an honest try and makes the mistake. Is the people who are intentionally misgendering me that's the problem, and that's none of the people that I know. It's other folks, and so yeah, I'm glad that I could give you that core memory. And like, again, like I said, like I present very masculine, and I only came out as non-binary like a handful of years ago. So I still too misgender myself in conversations about myself. So like, it happens to the best of us.
My God, guys, I'm okay. I'm an ally. We're good.
Yeah. You're
for now. Oh, well,
for now.
Until last year's joke where everyone.
Look,
everybody,
you know what?
Everyone had their little ribbons on their tags. I was like, the pronouns or whatever, ally. I was like, oh, I assume you just spent like $5 on those. I didn't see those around. And Mike was just like, yeah, you just grab one over here. I'm like, oh, cool. I didn't get one. And I always compare it to Iron Man 3 where Happy's doing the like, check your badge thing. And Mike all nice, just like, I was like, sorry, man, I didn't get one of those. Extremely homophobic. Sorry. Can't do that. Can't have one of those.
Can't do that. No, can't do that.
Until the one set of strangers came up towards our private party to get a drink from the bar. I'm like, sorry, extremely homophobic. Like, huh? I was like, I'm sorry. That was a dumb joke between friends. I totally love these guys. I am not homophobic. I swear. Great bit.
Oh, man. Yeah.
But yeah, then of course we met at that PAX. And then that first PAX, let's meet everybody. That this past PAX in 25 was, oh my God, I'm seeing all my friends again. Like literally, we ran into each other. I see you like 20 feet in front of me. You did this jump into my arms. I'm like, wait, the No Small Girls games are next to me. I don't know what to do. We're good. I got you.
You look all big and strong. I figured you could handle it.
A little bit of a brick house. We tried.
Right.
But then where I wasn't expecting to run into was PAX Unplugged at the end of this year. So you're to board games, TTRPGs. What's that space like for you then? We do video games, we do everything else, and we'll get into what the podcasts are in a minute here. But board games, TTRPGs, what's that space for you?
So I've been playing D&D since I was in high school. I've been playing board games even longer than that. And I really like that space. And like Jeff and I have talked about covering it in some capacity, but like mostly from the angle of like the conversion of video games to board games, what the licensing is like. We actually have plans to chat with the head of Kess Entertainment to talk, because they do a bunch of the licensed video game board games, and like talking about what that licensing process is like, because I'm sure sometimes it's easy and sometimes it must be a nightmare, just depending on the property, what's required, whatever. And so I've always been a fan of it, but like, and we talked about like maybe having a dedicated space for it, but I think now, like we did this past year, we're just going to cover PAX Unplugged like we cover the other PAXs, talk about what we saw and what we liked. And for one episode a year, we're a board game podcast, and maybe we'll build out from there. Like I'm trying not to be as precious about it. Either people will see board games, and if they're not interested, they'll click past it, or maybe they'll learn something and try something new. And as far as TTRPGs, I started with D&D, then quickly became infatuated with Pathfinder because it was the rules were more comprehensible for me. It's not that they were better per se, but like the way Pathfinder laid stuff out, it was more matter of fact, easier to follow. Played that for many years, and then I had a core group of friends that I would play with in person for many years, but most of them have moved outside of New York where I'm from, and so now we mostly play remote. I'm playing a D&D Strahd game that's been going on for a while with friends. I'd never played Strahd before, which is really fun. I'm playing basically Trevor Belmont from Castlevania in D&D form, which is a lot of fun. But gayer, because everything I play is gayer. That's just how I roll. And then I'm doing this cool steampunk Outlaws of Akenstar, I think it's called. It's for Pathfinder 2. I'm playing a automaton preacher who is like also a roguish kind of character who's kind of like using God and the church under the guise of like getting away with shit, which has been really fun. My southern accent is completely inconsistent though, because I cannot do accents. Like I started really kind of sounding like doing that, like the foghorn leghorn thing, and then as we played more sessions, I've just gotten tired, and if I haven't slept, it's just like fuck it, no accent this time.
I'm just here.
And I'm always game for doing stuff like that. Reignite in the early seasons, between seasons, we did several Mass Effect like one shots where we had someone DM, and we used there a bunch of like fan built Mass Effect TTRPGs. And so we've done that several times, which is a lot of fun. And so I've always been interested in the space. I'm less hesitant to do the actual play stuff, because for me personally, like I can't really listen to actual play. Like I prefer talking head podcasts, because if I zone out and I miss a couple of things, I'm still not lost for the whole episode. Whereas stuff that's narratively driven, like, you know, Mabim Bam, what all the stuff they've done for years, or all of those kinds of Dimension 20, all of that is that I want to know the stories because they craft such brilliant stories. But if I get lost, like, and eventually I'll go back. I have a Dropout subscription. I will eventually check out some of Dimension 20 because I love Brendan Lee Mulligan and that whole crew. But as far as doing it, I've actually not been. So there was a TTRPG YouTube series that I did many years ago called The Kestrel Tavern, which was about a bunch of retired D&D adventurers running a tavern. And that was a lot of fun. I think it's still on YouTube if you search for The Kestrel Tavern. It was a lot of fun to do that narrative. We were supposed to do a second season, but it kind of fell apart. And so like I'm game to try that stuff, but I also know it's a heavy time commitment. Sure. My schedule is kind of irregular, and so I don't know that I could jump in on it, but I definitely have a love for it. And like the stuff you've been doing has been a lot of fun. The fact that you jump in with both feet, even though you have no idea what the hell you're doing, is like. But that's I think the best thing about D&D. What kills me all the time is everyone's like, "Oh, I'm not good with numbers. I can't play D&D." And I was like, the numbers are the least important part. The books make it sound like the most important part, but it's the role playing and it's the communal storytelling that's the most important part of that stuff. And like my favorite thing about D&D is there was one D&D campaign. I think I was already out as queer, but I was still I wasn't out as non-binary. But I was playing this D&D campaign with friends, and the whole friend group are varying levels of queerness. But we were playing it, and naturally, because my monk and the barbarian in the party had like a previous relationship as friends, like they'd been on previous adventures before, a natural romantic relationship just developed playing the game, and like neither of the two players had romantic. I mean, I love Luke, he's lovely, but like there was no like relationship there beyond that with us as friends. We were actually fairly new to being friends, but just exploring that space, feeling comfortable, telling the story, they fell in love, and it was beautiful and it was fun. And like what I love about D&D is it allows you to express and discover stuff that maybe you're not comfortable doing in real life, but then can learn something about yourself, or allows you to play in a space where you know that's not your vibe in real life, but you want to tell a story, right? It's like the idea of straight people playing queer characters and vice versa, like that whole thing. And so I really do love that, and I love that D&D is a safe space for that when done right. Not everyone plays that way, but I think the best shows and the best places do that.
Yeah, I think just you mentioned like straight people playing queer characters. I had my buddy RJ. We've been in 2 like longer form games, like 5 to 6 sessions, being that Fallout. It's Fallout, Liminal Horror, and Our Brilliant Ruin. And all of those games, our characters have not been able to interact much. Either we're on like kind of separate parts of the team, or like he's doing this, I'm doing that. It's like we never meshed. So at the end of Our Brilliant Ruin, his character had died before my character would have had really a chance to talk with him. So there was this like stars and wishes. I love what you did with this character. I think I did a great job. You know, just really gassed ourselves and each other up. Yeah. And one of RJ's things was, I hate that our characters never get to like interact. Like I think we would do great. We just don't get to. So immediately we're like, whatever our next game is, do you want to just date? And they were like, yeah, let's do it. And that's where the Glitter Hearts thing started to form. We're like, oh, cool. We're going to do Power Rangers, but kaiju. And I was like, oh, well, what makes the most sense is Godzilla and Mothra, right? Like we could do, but like, I'm not the kaiju guy. There's no way I'm getting Godzilla. Meanwhile, everyone else is like, I want Kong. I want Ghidorah. I want this weird jellyfish thing that no one's ever heard of before. And I'm like, did I get Godzilla? Okay, RJ, let's do this. So yeah, we're playing, my character's he, him, RJ's character's they, them. And that we're just currently exploring what the relationship looks like, but it's the overprotective, bulky one taking care of the more petite, like neat freak thing. And it's a very fun vibe that I haven't gotten to explore in a TTRPG yet. We've only done it in, as of recording this, the 1 session. Tonight we're recording will be session 2. So we're like exploring that more, but it's like very fun to be like, let me play gay for a little while. Let me see what this looks like. And not in like a mockery kind of way. Just like, let me explore that in the most like realistic way that I can. That's just like, oh, this is fun. This is what my character would do with RJ's character, etc. So yeah, I think TTRPGs are really fun for just exploring worlds, quite literally like fiction and everything, fantasy and all, but like just playing a character that I'm not as a person and seeing what that feels like. I think it's really cool.
Some people like to play themselves and stuff. Often when I create myself in a video game, I'm creating me and I play it as me. I like to do that in games but then tons of folks like to create something that has nothing to do with them, you know, right? And play into something that's completely their opposite vibe, more confident, you know, more suave, whatever it is. And I think there's a space for both, whether you want to just play a heightened version of yourself or dabble in stuff that might make you feel better. I mean, D&D made me a more confident person without a doubt, and a more confident storyteller and writer. And while I don't know that I'll ever run a game because as organized as I am, I don't think I can do that. It has just dabbling in it and just my DMs asking me to write up stuff for my backstory or for moments in the campaign. That's helped me feel more confident as a writer also, outside of just writing reviews and other things, which has been nice. Yeah.
So fun announcement that has no concrete plans whatsoever, but it's a little sticky note in the back of my head. is that when Indie Cross episode 2 dropped, I was in the middle of some TTRPG. I'm like, this would be a fun like one shot, like an Indie Smash Bros episode. So I made like a Blue Sky post. I'm like, what if this happened? So I was like, okay, so Kyle likes Critical Role, so I'm gonna ask Kyle. Matt likes D&D, so we'll try Matt. So I was like, cool. I have the little sticky note in my head of like, so ask Matt, pick your favorite indie character. We're gonna do a thing. Again, no concrete plans, but it might be a fun thing to run. Just the indie one shot. So I do TTRPGs and indie games. I'm like, cool, that'd be fun.
Totally down, and I have like a laundry list of characters I can choose from. So
all right, I need like
totally
3 ideas now. Who would you take?
If I was picking any indie character like that exists, I mean, Shovel Knight is number one.
Totally
for me. It's one of my favorite indie games of all time. Probably Val from Sea of Stars.
Ooh,
of the twins.
Okay.
I love her. I love her vibe. I love a monk character.
Yeah.
Let's see who else.
There's so many,
there's so many indie games that I love, and like just my top 10 indies alone. I mean, maybe Faye from Demonschool. I think she's got a vibe of like the manic kind of like fangirl kind of like she's obsessed with demons in a way that's like, oh, I've met this person who's obsessed with video games who just acts exactly like this. And so that could be fun too. I mean, those are the 3 off the top of my head. There are definitely for sure more, but those are the first 3 that come to mind.
Hell yeah, okay. Listen. We'll plan it out. Maybe in like 5 years, we'll see. We'll
totally.
We'll try to get together.
We all have free time, right?
Exactly. But yeah, indie games are cool. But podcasts, I want to swing back to that's kind of like your bread and butter. You said you ran like across the years like 8 different podcasts or took part in them, whether it was editing, recording, whole 9 yards. Like, where did podcasting start? Where did Fun and Games come from? Like, if we go back to the pinnacle, like here's where I started podcasting as Matt Storm. What does that adventure look like? What's that journey?
So as I said, I started, I've been saying 13 for like a year, so it's probably closer to 14 years now. So 14 years ago, I started podcasting. How it came to be was I was a big podcast listener. At the time, I was listening to several podcasters, one of which who has been outed as a predator, so I won't even mention him by name anymore.
Totally.
But there were a bunch of comedy podcasts that I liked at the time. I thought it was fun to talk, and like I would chat with my friends endlessly at home about music and video games and other things. And so my friend John was like, look, you never shut up. Why don't we just start a goddamn podcast and talk about music? And so my friend John and my friend Steve and I started a podcast called Crash Chords. It ran for 6 or 7 years. And basically the conceit was, what if we took an album each week, dissected it track by track, talk about the music, and then the back half of the episode would be like a topic in the music industry, whatever that is and whatever that looks like. And we did that for a long time, did over 200 episodes, and it really helped me get my feet under me on how to manage a podcast. I wasn't editing it at the time. My friend Steve was. I would do edits occasionally. And then through that series, I did a spinoff called Crash Chords Autographs, where I wanted to start interviewing musicians, and I needed an excuse to do it. Yeah. And so we did a sub-series in the feed, and it allowed us to alternate episode releases. And so one of my earliest interviews is actually with Spider One from Power Man 5000. I got really lucky. I was part of a PR group that was like, they were on their newest tour, and he was looking to do an interview. And so we did a phone interview, and it was awesome. And so then kept doing that, eventually started interviewing other people besides musicians, comedians, burlesque performers, whoever. We started having more guests on the podcast proper, where like people would bring an album they wanted to discuss and break down track by track. Doing more interviews with musicians, and both of those ran for quite some time. And during that era, I was DJing pretty regularly, meeting lots of other nerds. And this is where I met Jeff and their partner Sarah became fast friends with me and my partner Sarah. Yes, we both have partners named Sarah. And one day we were hanging out at our apartment, and Jeff and I, when we are emphatic, talk, as you know, very loudly.
Yeah.
We have that in common in our group.
Yeah, we do.
And we were just like yelling about some video game, and our spouses were like, enough of this. Why don't you two just go start a podcast or something? And we were both like, all right, bet. And then we did. The funniest thing about launching Fun and Games was we recorded our take on the Switch 1 before it came out. And then it took us so long to launch the show that the episode would have aired after it came out. So what we then did is actually we recorded the first half, which was like our predictions, and then commented on them in the second half of the episode. Like, how right were we? How wrong were we? Which was fun. And so that ran for a while. I think before Fun and Games started is when I launched Reignite. Reignite is born of me and Frankie being best friends. It's my fault Frankie started playing Mass Effect because I was obsessed with it. And Frankie was like, why don't we just start a new playthrough of the Mass Effect trilogy, but play as if we're Shepard and then discuss why we made those choices, and more importantly, which aliens we think are hot and want a romance. And it spun out into now we've done the original trilogy. We did Andromeda, which I hadn't played before we did it for the show, and now we're doing the Dragon Age series, and we'll probably stick to BioWare for as long as we can, but who knows how much longer they'll be around. But that's a story for another time. And over the years, spun off other stuff. I did a podcast for many years called Screen Snark, which with the incredible Rachel Shank, which was like, it started as a movie podcast where each host and a guest would bring the latest thing they watched and talk about it, and then we expanded it to TV and movies, and then YouTube, and then during the strike we ended up doing video games and music. Ended up coming to an end just because we weren't able to make the time to make the show, and I didn't want to find a new co-host, and this was our show. There was no bad blood. I was just like, I'd rather it end than try and do it without you, and so it did. And autographs ran for a while. Once Crash Chords ended, it went to Certain POV, which is the network where my current podcasts are. And it was CPOV autographs for a while. But I ran out of steam because while I was doing Screen Snark at the time and these other two, I was like, I'm doing 2 interview shows. I'm exhausted. So I retired autographs, and then Screen Snark ended. So I've toyed with the idea of bringing back autographs in some capacity. But for the most part, I'm doing enough work as it is. And those shows ending have allowed stuff like Fun and Games to expand. Reignite's kind of just in its lane. There's no Patreon. We're just doing the show. We've got a dedicated fan base who interact with us, but we're not, I'm always trying to grow it, but I'm not looking to change it. Whereas Fun and Games, the whole plot was how can we evolve this? What does Jeff and I want to do? Are there other things we want to do? We want to launch a Patreon. What does that look like? And that's grown into us doing bonus episode, me writing. Last year, I wrote a new review every month, basically, except for December, which was when I wrote my top 10 of the year. But I wanted to write 11 reviews last year, and I wrote 11 reviews last year. All indie games, which I was really proud of. And so, flexing that muscle, finding my writing voice, feeling more comfortable doing that, all of that stuff. And so now I think Fun and Games has been around for 8 years, and then Reignite is probably closer to 9, I think. We're in season 6. It all started from Crash Chords, this music podcast that I love doing because I'm also a big music nerd, and it just spun off into these other possibilities. But that's how I kind of got my start in podcasting, was doing that show, which I think still exists on YouTube, but has been pulled down from most other places just because a lot of hosting sites, when you don't pay, they're like, all right, peace. Screen Snark exists on my personal YouTube channel because I had a friend help me back it up, but it doesn't exist in podcast platforms anymore because Libsyn, once you stop paying, they're like, all right, bet, it's gone. Which is what it is. They don't want to take up the space if they're not paying for it. It's not ideal. I might have gone with a different hosting platform if I had known that, but it is what it is. But so that's the very long, storied, and boring history of why I'm making podcasts. We love it. We're
gonna pick at some of these because I'm interested in Reignited because I'm not the biggest BioWare person. I love what they do, but I've not sunk my teeth into Mass Effect, Dragon Age, any massive degree. But since I've met you, I've known about Reignited, and it's been a Dragon Age podcast. What does that weekly episode look like? How much time you put into the game per week? That's we come to update. Because I think what I hear now that I've known you for 2 years, right? And we're we're on Dragon Age 2, where I'm damn, that seems like it takes forever to get through. And it's an RPG. It's a huge, massive game. Of course it's going to take forever. But what does a week prepping for a Reignited episode look like? And then when recording, what is that conversation?
Sure. So with Reignite, how it started was, like I said, with Mass Effect, a game that we knew better as well than Dragon Age. Frankie knows Dragon Age better than I do. I've only played through them once. But basically, it's a bi-weekly show where we usually pick a mission or several missions. We'll tee them up the week before, the episode before, play these missions. And then we'll go through the mission. We'll go through the narrative. We'll discuss the choices we made. We often get into more existential stuff. I mean, Dragon Age 2 is about, an oppressive ruling class, a militant force, taking control and putting down the mages, an underrepresented, minority group, putting the boot to their heel. Some of this stuff might sound familiar. especially if you're living in the US. We weren't expecting to be so prescient, but that's how it's worked out. And so we've talked a lot about personal stories and stuff as well. But the prep week to week, for the listener at least, is just whatever missions we say we're going to discuss. And then it kind of broadens out from there. We used to do something during the Mass Effect seasons where we had more guests, where we do a fandom corner also, where we would like talk about some aspect of the fandom, maybe highlight an Etsy shop that's making custom stuff for Mass Effect or whatever. But as we got into Dragon Age, as we started having less guests because Frankie's overseas right now pursuing a doctorate, it's just been easier to like go inward more, especially sharing parts of ourselves more that now that we have a dedicated audience. So now week to week, we're doing a fandom corner where it's what we're fans of. So like I'll share an album I've been listening to, or a TV show we've been watching, a movie we've been watching. And it's one of those things where I love fun and games. I'm not picking between my two children, but there's something about getting to be truly personal on Reignite in a way that we do on fun and games as well. But because Reignite is the focus is us as these characters, we're transcribing ourselves onto Hawk, the main character from Dragon Age 2, and playing it and making choices in those moments as if we were there. It can't help but be deeply personal, especially when we're pursuing relationships and dating in those games as well. Because as everyone knows, Mass Effect and Dragon Age are just giant dating sims with a bunch of and so that's how that worked out. And like it continues to evolve. It's based on what Frankie and I are into, what we want to do, how we want to structure it. And like it's been hard for Dragon Age because it's just like Mass Effect. Those games are between 15 and 25 hours long, and so they are kind of more streamlined. Where Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age Awakening can balloon up to many more hours than that. And even Dragon Quest II, which is smaller because we're getting so granular with it, it's just been more satisfying. Going to be harder with Inquisition and Veilguard because I think those are even bigger open world games. But we'll figure out how we're going to tackle it. I think part of it also is we can get more granular because we don't have guests as much. We've had a few guests this season in season 6, and we'll have a few more before it ends. But because I record at 9 a.m. Eastern basically every Sunday with Frankie because they're overseas, so it's midday for them in Dublin, it's just easier.
Sure.
And if we have guests who want to get up at that time or we can shift stuff around, we'll have them on. We're always eager to have people on. One of my favorite things that we did actually in the early days of season 3 with Mass Effect 3 is Jeff, my co-host on Fun and Games, famously had never played any of the Mass Effect games yet, or not finished any of them.
Sure.
But had the Wii U version of Mass Effect 3.
Okay.
And hadn't played it. And so we're like, well, for the first episode of the season, we have to do the intro of the game. Why don't you do that as someone who is less familiar, and let's talk about that experience, which was a lot of fun. And so we've done some of that as well. But we welcome newbies as well. We've had plenty of folks who are playing the games for the first time along with us. And then we've actually developed a pretty robust community where folks contribute, send voice memos that we play on the podcast or post in the Discord about what they're thinking. We have a member of Community Cali who we adore. They always put these long, thoughtful messages in the Discord about like what that mission meant to them, what they've been going through, how they felt about those moments. And I love that we inspire that. Do we have hundreds of thousands of people doing that? No, but I don't care. We've got 3 people doing it, and that's all I need. Yeah. And so it's Reignite specifically is a very personal podcast in a way that I don't think any other podcast could be because of how we are approaching creating these characters. Also, every season it's fun to just start over and try and create a character based on however we looked at the moment. My Hawk right now in the game, you can see it on our Instagram, has like long blonde hair because at the time I had long blonde hair, which I don't have anymore.
It's true.
So it's just fun to see that evolution, looking at the shepherds and the different other characters I've created over the years, and like, oh, that's how I looked back then. Like one of them had purple hair because I had purple hair at the time. That's been kind of a fun thing to see over the years as well.
Hell yeah. That's I love that. Like I said, I've known it's existed, and as the non-Bioware guy, like had an idea, but I was like, how does it prolong so far, and like how does that build look like? So that's cool. Now I'm like, okay, what comes after Dragon Age then? And then
I mean, so there are a couple places. So Dragon Age Veilguard just came out a couple years ago, and so we'll definitely do that. Long rumor that there's a new Mass Effect game coming. I will believe it when I literally see anything about it. And so if that happens before we're done with the next 2 games, then that would be the next step. There's also a supposed new Knights of the Old Republic game coming. Right. We never did the original Knights of the Old Republic games. Okay. Which I've played one of the 2 of them, so that could be a possibility. I don't know. We dabbled in. We did a live panel once, and so we for a goth convention, and so we did the vampire mission from Skyrim and talked about the choices in that for that panel. And so we've dabbled with the idea of diving into cyberpunk as well because I loved Cyberpunk. The transphobic stuff aside, and they've made amends on some of that stuff. When a good friend of mine, Flora Marigold, was celebrating this game, I was like, okay, I need to try this game. And it's the first, Cyberpunk 2077 is the first game to give me the feelings that the original Mass Effect gave me in a long time. And so there's a chance we could do a season on that. Like, it really depends. We can kind of go anywhere. We don't have to stay with BioWare, but as we take our time, BioWare keeps still like slowly letting out other stuff. So we'll see. I'm worried about this merger with the Saudi company and where that goes, but that's for another time. I don't know. Like, they just closed down Anthem as of when we're recording this also, which was their failed MMO. So who knows? But that said, the spirit of those games lives on in other places. So we'll keep going. And, the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which is the first 3 games, remastered, always on sale on Steam and PlayStation. And I'm just saying, if you wanted to buy it and then play along with a podcast, I've got a pretty great play along podcast that you can play it with. I'm just saying, it's good. It's good streaming content. People will stream Mass Effect all the time. I'm just saying.
I have the collection sitting back there for my PlayStation. I picked it up at launch. I started 1. And I think I was in the place where I was like, if this gets remade, and then we're in the weeds of remake, remaster, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I can see the age of this game. I can see it. Of course. And it's not like it's terrible. It's like, it's still a good game, but I'm like, I think if this ran, maybe this is a weird statement, if this ran how Andromeda looks like it runs in terms of like a modern game, I'm like, maybe that's what I need for this. 'Cause I think that's where I was at with Resident Evil. I was never a Resident Evil guy. The first one I played was 7. Then we got the remakes of like 2, 3, 4. I still have to touch 4, but like I really enjoyed the remakes of 2 and 3. I've played Village. I'll probably play Requiem at some point, but not being so indie focused since we got the last one, I'm like, will I get around to it? Who knows? I haven't touched Ghost of Yotei yet. I don't have a Switch 2, so I haven't touched Donkey Kong. It's like there's all these big AAAs. I'm like, just give me another shovel and I'll be good.
You can play, and they've done a lot to fix Andromeda. It still has its problems, but it is a separate story in a separate universe of that world, a separate part of that galaxy. So you could start there and then go back. Also, the big secret is put all the games on easy, blow through the combat, experience the story. Like that's the vibe. So
I think that's the move.
But I'm just saying, if you want to play one of the best trilogies ever created, ever with the most choices that matter.
Okay, I got it. I had a little snarky comment, and then you're like, choices that matter. I'm like, I've played Uncharted, man. It's fine. God, I love Uncharted so much.
Oh, Uncharted's great, as long as you admit to me that Lost Legacy is the best game in the series. Because Chloe is the best character, I think, in that whole franchise. As much as I love Nathan, I do love Nathan, but like Lost Legacy, it's a dope game. I played it so much longer after the others. It's so good. Yeah,
I do love
I will
Lost
say
Legacy.
That 4 is also pretty extraordinary as far as the advancements, but like, I'm a Chloe stan.
Yeah, totally. I don't do Magic the Gathering. You see where this goes, but they just did the PlayStation Secret Lair set, and I was like, you know, that Nate set's really cool. I don't have to buy them. Both Kanai and Chris have bought me a set. Chris got me the hollow ones, and Kanai got me the regular ones. So Kanai built me a Nathan Drake deck that is sitting downstairs, and I'm like, oh, cool. I never play Magic, but I have it.
Bring that shit to PAX.
Okay.
Play.
All right. I'll bring it.
I've got a Cloud deck, and I've got a 13th Doctor deck from the Doctor Who
Ooh,
set,
bet.
So.
Okay. I'll tell the guys to bring their Magic stuff for PAX. We'll be like, let's do it.
Go.
I'll bring
Nathan. Take over one of those big tables.
Yeah.
I'll be playing Magic. Everyone's like, what are you doing?
We did Unplugged. It was the first time we sat at a table because all PAX are like, let's go see stuff. And then Unplugged, I felt like, not that there wasn't a lot, but the moment I got around, I'm like, I think I want to play something. It's so many like video games I can play the entire time versus like being able to stop at a board game and play it at PAX Unplugged is a little less common. So I was like, let's just sit and play. I can't think of the name of the game, but it's like a board game about beetles, and you like put a bunch of pebbles and stuff on the board, and each turn you like push one on, and you're trying to push you earn points, and whoever gets the most points, blah blah blah. Like, oh, that was a fun like 2 hours we spent. Played Gudnak, which was a big booth there at Unplugged. We just played a bunch of games. I think that's a showtime. So yeah, if we get like an evening to play some Magic, which again, I don't like Magic. I'm not falling into this trick of what Magic the Gathering is, but I have a Nathan Drake deck, so I have to.
Okay. Sure.
Listen, I had the cards. I gave the cards away because I got sick of the 9-year-olds showing up to pre-releases being like, oh, I only got second place. I'm like, I got like 90th. Shut up. I hate you.
Look, that's the best part about Commander is like you just buy a deck.
Yep.
It works out of the box. You can modify it, but you don't have to. Just
saying. I do like, listen, I did run my Cranko mob boss for quite some time. He's a pretty good guy. But yeah, Magic is dumb anyway. We don't talk about that. We've talked about fun and games a bit, but side quest, we've brought it up, we haven't really talked about it. If you want to tell people like what side quest is, and I guess communally what that is for you guys as like a podcast, and like what that kind of means to you.
Sure. So SideQuest was my brainchild. So the thing that was happening in the mid 2000s to early 2010s when this podcast was going is that there was a lot of short form content becoming popular. You've made your whole early days on TikTok and Instagram on that, and like these idea of 1 minute videos or like short 3-panel comics that people can digest and share because it's shareable, it's short. Whereas we're releasing an 1.5 hour long podcast. And like I share my friends' podcasts without listening sometimes because I know the pedigree of those shows. Yeah. But like if I see a podcast out of context that I've never listened to before, I'm going to listen before I share it because you never know, right? Right. You want to make sure it's something you vibe with, that you like, that if you're recommending, you want to recommend it with the knowledge of what it is. And you can't really do that with a 2-hour podcast. And so I was like, what if we had short form stuff that originally I wanted to always put on YouTube, and it is on YouTube, but without video. It's just a still image over the with the audio over it in a video form. But like this idea of putting out these short form things that people can share more easily, they can listen to in 5 to 10 minutes. They're really straightforward. And like I was struggling to figure out what it should be about. And then I've always used this as the example. I can't even remember if the timelines line up, but no one's called me on it. But I remember when Paper Mario: The Origami King was coming out, a game I was excited for. And it was literally just a still image of Mario fighting a stapler, which looked hilarious and awesome. But there was no mechanics. There was no music. It was just still image. And people were like, this game's going to suck. And I was like, right. Are you for real? You're looking at a picture. What do you know? Like, are you clairvoyant? And it made me so angry that I was like, you know what? I'm going to start a goddamn podcast where all we do is talk about why we love stuff. Yeah. It was it's shocking to you, Danny, maybe, that the internet can be a negative place. And so I had been so tired of it and wanted a place where people, free of judgment, could share why they love stuff. Because we have a saying now on Fun and Games is that every game is somebody's favorite. Good, bad, doesn't matter. If the first game you ever played was E.T. on Atari and it's all you had, doesn't matter how bad that game was mechanically, you might love it because it's the first video game you ever played. And that's valid. And I wanted to give people a space to celebrate that. And so that's where SideQuest came from. The pilot episode, which admittedly I haven't listened to in a long time, was me talking about Control because I just played it. I had never played. I'd played a little bit of Max Payne, but I'd never really dabbled in the Remedyverse, something I am now completely obsessed with. But I played through Control. It was basically X-Files in video game form, and I went, this is the best video game I've ever played in my entire life. I need to talk about it. And so I did a side quest about it. It was the debut episode. Got a bunch of other folks to do episodes within the podcast network. So stuff like Jeff doing an early episode, I think about 70 of the Night. Case Aiken doing some stuff, who has a bunch of podcasts over the net. Like pretty much getting my cohort on the podcast network to do a bunch of episodes. So I'd have an early backlog that I've sustained since. And this idea of putting one out. So originally we're like, let's put it out on the opposite Fridays from when we do Fun and Games. And I was talking to Jeff. I was like, but what if we did it every Monday also? And we put out 3 every 2 weeks. That seems like a good idea. And I still think it's a good idea. But I, of course, then didn't know the amount of work it would be now, which is fine. But yeah, SideQuest is born of this idea of just wanting to share positivity in the industry. It's gotten me to check out games that I had a bias against, like Nathan Brandt, who doesn't really do much podcasting anymore. But back then, they had several podcasts, and they were a big Fortnite fan and did an episode on Fortnite. I think it's like episode 9 or something. And I was like, Fortnite sucks. It's dumb. It's for kids. Stupid take. But then I listened to their episode about how it's more an excuse to hang out with your friends, run around this map, do dumb stuff. And then I started playing and I went, oh yeah, I guess Fortnite's kind of okay. Like, but it's because this person who I respect shared an unbiased opinion of just why, or a very biased opinion about what they love from the heart. It got me interested in it. And I can't tell you how many games I've added to my wish list, to my backlog, because someone's done a great episode about them. And it's really been this fun thing that now, not to toot my own horn too much, but when folks, like I get names in the industry to do stuff, whether it's, developers at indie companies or voice actors or whoever, musicians, to do an episode, journalists at outlets that I respect, they all go, this is one of the best ideas for a podcast I've ever heard. And I don't hear that. I hear that often. And like, I take it to heart because I've been doing this stuff for a long time. You never know what your reach is.
Yeah.
The fact that so many people love this format, and it only boosts the main show as well because it gets people in the door listening to a short thing and like, oh, then they did a whole episode on Gigasword. I should go check that out too. Like, it really has worked out in a lot of ways. Do I regret sometimes it being in the same feed as Fun and Games because they can wash each other over a little bit? Yeah. But I think ultimately they help each other out. If you get into the show because you listen to our 2025 year in review and you're like, this is dope. Oh wait, they have an episode, like 3 episodes every 4 weeks, 4 episodes every 2 weeks rather. And some of them are really short. Well, what's this? Oh, someone did something on Shining Force. I've never played that game. Let me check this out. It's only 10 minutes long. Like, I think that one hand washes the other as far as that goes. And I'm really proud of the work that we've done on side quests. Something that we invented after the first 50 episodes, and now we're well into the 400s, which is insane to say out loud.
That's nuts.
Every 50 episodes, we started doing milestone episodes. This idea that every 50 episodes we'll make something more like a Fun and Games length episode, but not quite, like maybe 45 minutes. But it's me, Jeff, and a guest talking with a game about why we love it, to like kind of broaden the panel, but still and set those milestones for every 50 episodes. Yeah. And we've since done Chrono Trigger with Chrono Katie. We did Shovel Knight with Nathan Brandt. We did Metroid Dread with our friend Alex Lavelle. We've done a bunch of different ones where it's a chance to celebrate a game as a group and kind of like put a milestone every 50 episodes. Like, can you believe we've done another 50 episodes? And now I think we're somewhere in 420 territory, which is crazy to think about. And that we're closer to 500 than we've ever been, which makes us closer to 1,000 than we've ever been, which is just so weird. Just crazy.
You said out loud. That's great. That's awesome. That's so dope.
I know.
Because again, like SideQuest was like, here's an email. Hey, do you want to do this thing? I'm like, sure. Let me talk about like a game that I'm hyper fixated on. And I've done 2 episodes so far where I've done Moonlighter and then I did Monster Prom, the first one. But even in there, I'm like, but also Monster Camp and Monster Road Trip and Monster Con, as I'm recording this, came out last night. And I just spent like 12 hours playing like the first 3 or 4 runs of blah, 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 blah. And I think having that, being able to sit and just talk, which is just kind of what most of us do in this podcast space anyway. But I know for me personally, I try to relay my content as I'm reviewing a game as a friend, where someone's like, Danny, what is this thing? I'm not trying to hit you with the IGNs like, well, the quality of the thing and the doesn't make it quit. This is why it's a 5 out of 10. Like, I want to be like, hey, I played this. I really didn't like this, but that didn't stop me from liking XYZ, Elemental P, everything else about it. I do try those conversations. When I'm sitting here talking with someone like you, or I'm talking with Tofr on a weekly basis, it flows naturally because I'm literally telling someone else about a game I'm playing. Whereas when I set the camera up here and I'm talking at a lens, that YouTuber IGN review energy comes out, and I'm still trying to fix that. But I think Fun and Game or SideQuest, Fun and Game SideQuest has been one that I've been able to somehow turn that off, and I don't know what magic there is in it that I'm just like, oh yes, I am literally just reading from what's in my head, just like I loved Moonlighter because and I laid in bed with my Switch and kicked up my feet. I'm like, my Switch is dying. What do? Do I plug it in or go to bed? I gotta plug it in. I can't go to bed yet. And like having those memories of a game and just talking at a microphone in that I'm reviewing as a friend, man. I like that, which means I thought, do you guys have an In Stars and Time episode?
I don't know if that one's taken yet. It might not be. We're going to check the doc live, folks.
Check the doc live, folks.
We're going to check the dice list. No one has claimed In Stars and Time yet.
Put me in, Coach.
Right. You heard it here first. So when 6 months from now, when Dan hasn't done it yet, I can come back on the show and yell at him about doing it.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
Oh, I know. That's one that's been on my backlog for a while. I've heard great things about Rebecca Valentine over at IGN. Like, praised the shit out of that game and gave it a big pedestal. And I know this team has a new game coming out soon.
Yes, also. The cool lesbian one.
The Scrapper or something. Time Scrapper?
Yeah.
I think that sounds right.
Pulling on Steam to double check. Insert disc. Truth Scrapper. That's that one looks.
And so I want to play that too. But yeah, I love this series because, again, it's what you're talking about. It saying that the only rule is that you have to talk about a game you love and giving no other format requirements has gotten such a huge variety of storytelling. Like one friend of mine did an episode on a Star Trek point and click adventure game that was on the PC, but it ended up being this story of him and his grandfather and why they love it. You know, and why they love this game, why they love them. My friend Leon did a whole episode about Pokemon Snap and the allure of this game that they never actually got to own, but they rented and they played at friends' houses, and the legacy that that game built up. Like, that's the reason I created this. Is so, yes, we all have folks who do episodes. I very myself do this, is like very matter of fact. This is why I love it. Here's the highlights. Here's what it is, which is totally valid way to do it. But then I have my friend Joe Mastrapiro, who I grew up with, talking about Wild Arms and has me crying because his mom, who's passed, that I knew very well, talking about how this game was important to her and therefore important to him. Like, the variety is why I love this series, is people can really make it as personal as they want, but also when you're speaking from the heart, it's just different.
I love it. That's so great. I really like side quests. It's great because I've had Kanai that ended up doing one. He did Kazan, which was very exciting for him because he's been coming with me to PAX. He's been the one concrete, like he's gone with me to each PAX that I've been to. And he sees the energy when we get there. Like, I see all these people making content, and like, I want to make sure that I'm still making content too. And he's trying to stream. So like, when he had these, like, Matt asked about side quests, I'm like, I'm playing Kazan, let me do it. So like, that was very exciting for him, and it was exciting for me to see him excited for it. So I think a really simple barrier to entry of like, hey, turn on your microphone and talk for 5 to 20 minutes about your game. Like, I think that's great. So I really like side quests.
That's a good point too. Like, my favorite thing, nothing against you and the other professionals who I love, but my favorite submission we've gotten a few of them, is people who've never done a podcast. They spoke into the voice memo on their phone and just sent it to me. They're just a fan of the show and wanted to do an episode. And those are my favorite episodes, not because they're better in any way, but because that's the whole point of the show, is to give anyone a platform to talk about a game they love. And so when a listener of the show is like, hey, I don't really have anything to promote, but can I do an episode? I go, absolutely. And then we get some really incredible stuff. And so, like, I want to make podcasting more accessible. What's the indie game saying? It's like, I want shorter games with worse graphics, made by less people for more money or whatever. Like, that's all I want for podcasting, is anyone can do this shit. I can do this. Like, if this idiot can do it, any idiot can do it. Like, I want, because also I've met so many incredible creators who I'm jealous of in the best way. It just pushes me, right? Doing shows, getting audiences, interactions. Like, look, I'll put Dave Jackson on blast here. I love that with my whole heart, but I am so jealous of, in the best way, of his backlog resolutions thing he does, because it has, every year he's put out an episode about it. He's got a huge influx of people joining his Discord just to participate in the resolutions. It's such a brilliant idea. And while I'm not actually jealous, I'm a little jealous, because it's such a brilliant idea that, you
wish I came up with that. Yeah.
Right. But like, in all seriousness, it's that I love, because I get to be a part of that. I was a part of the debut episode talking about it, and I was a part of the resolutions, and it drives me to play games that are in my backlog. Like, I love that stuff. And I think it's my favorite thing about this community, is stuff like side quests or Dave's backlog resolutions or the stuff you do on TikTok, all driving us to interact with stuff and do stuff and experience stuff that we might not otherwise. And I love that about games.
Yeah. We have such a cool circle. This is so dope.
We do.
I love it here. We never got to talk about what we've been playing, but I have one more thing I want to talk about with you yet. So obviously we do the games, we do the board games, we do the TTRPGs, all that stuff, but we also do a lot with music. You talked about the music podcast, and you are the a.k.a. DJ Stormageddon. What is DJing for you? Is this a constant gig? Is it a fun hobby? Like, what's the capacity for you?
So I've been DJing as long as I've been podcasting. It started out as a gig where I would DJ for friends' burlesque shows. So like, there'd be a theme, and I'd put together a playlist, and I'd play the music for the musical acts. I did that for many years. It was a lot of fun for a variety of different productions. I slowly started hosting during that time too, which got me more comfortable live on mic. I did a couple of lip sync performances, not many. I get stage fright, surprisingly, even though I'm so good at this. I still get stage fright in front of a live audience, which is very bizarre. But I started doing it that way, and then I started booking private gigs. I have my own gigs, so I've done weddings and bar mitzvahs and private events and holiday parties and Halloween parties, and like DJing. I don't mix my own music except in Fuser, which is a game I streamed during the pandemic, which we'll get to in a minute. But like, I don't do a lot of live, like, mixing two songs on turntables in person, but I do a lot of playlist customization and flow management, and like building playlists that get a party going, get people moving. I just have an understanding of music in a way that, like, I know what songs will get a certain room vibing based on their preferences, what I've seen over the course of the night. And so mostly now I don't really do the burlesque shows anymore. It was a fun gigging to gig thing, but as I started podcasting more, you know, the gigs didn't pay a ton, and it was just I didn't have the time.
Sure.
You know, it became exhausting doing a burlesque show at midnight and then having to get up the next morning to go to work or whatever. And so I started moving away from that and doing more like private events. I could charge a better rate because it was for my services of experience, and customizing weddings to the level where do you need an MC as well? I can do that as well. Do you need me to do introductions? Do you need me to bring lights? Do you need me to rent gear? All of that stuff. And then the pandemic happened, and basically DJing stopped for me and right before the pandemic, I met the folks developing Fuser over at Harmonix, got to play it. And when it came out during the pandemic, I started messing with it, mixing songs, playing around, ended up getting to be quite friendly with the community manager over at Harmonix, ended up getting to be a featured streamer weekly, where I was in their schedule every week, DJing when I was available to. It's how I built up my streaming. I don't stream as much as I'd like anymore, but it's how I built up my community for streaming, how I built up some of the other communities I'm in still now. And that's when I started doing my own versions of mixing, and have discovered that I'm very good at it, which I didn't doubt, but like doing the on-the-fly mixing in that game.
Yeah.
And now that the game is unfortunately defunct, but it does mean that the modders are now able to help you build your own, put your own music. And so I've got tons of game music in there and other stuff. And so I still do it, and it's a blast. And that was like what brought me into the digital field. I still have this vision someday at PAX doing live DJing from my Switch, playing Fuser.
Okay.
For like a dance party.
Yeah.
It's something I've always wanted to do, and I haven't pitched it in a while. So maybe, I don't think this year, but maybe next year I'll pitch that, because the Switch is really portable. Or even I have the PC version on my Steam Deck. I could do it via my Steam Deck as well, which I have all the DLC for. But either way, like plugging it into their aux and just like spinning for a while using a controller could be really fun. So so DJ in the true sense of the word for a long time. I do less of it now, just due to timing, and I, deeper invested in the video game stuff. But like, I'm still a huge music nerd. Listen. I mean, I'm wearing a Sleep Token hat. Listen to a ton of music, game music as well. Like, I try and, in my written reviews especially, over elaborate on video game soundtracks, because I feel like a lot of it, and it's to no one's fault, but I think people who review video games aren't also always deep into music. Some people are, but those that don't will just say, oh, I like this or I didn't like that, which is totally valid. But for me as a deep music nerd, I want to talk about the genre. I want to talk about the instruments. I want to talk about the choices, right? All of that stuff. It's become a big part of why I do what I do. And we've done an episode on video game music for Fun and Games. We'll probably overdue to do another. But like, the Chrono Trigger soundtrack to me is the greatest video game soundtrack that's ever been made. Like, it's doing things in the 16-bit era that people still strive to do or duplicate today. And so that's where a lot of the DJing has come from. I have wanted to get back to regularly DJing, whether it's on Fuse or online or in person, but it's just, timing and all of that.
Yeah.
But I'm doing a wedding this year in July for a friend, which I'm excited to do because I haven't done an in-person event in a while. And I'm always looking to do more. So if you have a live event and you want to DJ, like, I'm always down. My rates are good. I do friends and family rates for those who I know, if you're someone who's trying to do a birthday party or a private event or whatever, but I'm totally down for that stuff. But yeah, it came from my obsession of music, which comes from my dad. I lost my dad now over a year ago, but when I was a kid, he was the kind of person who would like lay on the living room floor with his headphones plugged into his record player, listening to music, not doing anything else, just listening to music. And that's the kind of love I've developed for music. Like, I can listen to music while doing other things, but also, like, when Taylor Swift's got a new album out, I need a couple hours to sit in front of my computer, plug in, and just take it in. And so, like, I love doing that with music, hearing the storylines, the lyrics. Like, I have a deep connection to lyrics in a way because I'm always so focused when I'm listening that, like, I'm understanding the narrative, the story. I'm still an album listener. Most folks playlists, and I get it. But when a new band comes out with a new album, I got to listen to it from beginning to end. I got to hear that arc. I got to know what the narrative is. I got to know what they're trying to say. Like, that's just my favorite thing to do. And I've toyed with the idea of starting another music podcast or something, but I just, who's got the time at this point? But it's deeply ingrained in who I am. And it's so funny too, because online, I'm known as the Mass Effect person or the Metroid person or the indie person, the podcast person. But like, it's all video game related. And I love video games, but my knowledge and love of music goes deeper and longer. Like, I've been a music nerd longer than I've been a video game nerd. And so it's funny because I don't always get to talk about it as much because I'm not known for that. It's not the spaces I'm often in anymore. It's just kind of funny. You know, I love movies and TV also, but like video games are the thing. And I love video games. Don't get me wrong. It's my hobby of choice. If I had to choose a form of media, it's my number one, but music is like right there with it. And so it's fun to get to talk about it. And it's why I've loved doing those Fuser streams also, because also I like talking on stream, but I'm not great at it. I'm okay at it. But what I do love is cultivating a vibe, and the Fuser streams allow me to do that. People show up, I chat every so often, people comment on the mixes, but mostly I'm just there nodding my head, playing the music and letting the music do the talking, which is kind of my favorite way to do it. And I was known as a Fuser streamer for the brief period that was a thing, and so it would be fun to get back to it at some point.
Oh yeah. Okay, listen. I caught the one stream. I think it was probably the most recent one. Unless I missed one. That was the most recent one. I was like, hey, there's a vibe. Sitting here chilling. I watch it. I want to say it was like a Backstreet Boy or something came up. I'm like, wait a minute. How you not picking that one yet? Like, yeah, it's fun. I'm like excited because I know a lot of people that DJ, right? There's a lot of like, oh, but DJ, man, and that no life energy, funny stereotype in a movie kind of character, right? Yeah. So it's the to pull away from the stigma and see what that looks like for you is really cool. So that's exciting. I want to,
thank you.
If I ever have an event where I need music, I like my alone time. I don't like people in my presence. So maybe not have anything like that, but also maybe.
All right.
Sick.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, I'll keep it on the notes just in case I need them. But yeah, I think that's enough about you. I'm sick and tired of talking about you.
That's fine. I barely want to talk about me, so I get it.
Barely, not for the hour and 11 minutes anyway. But we've all been playing games. We want to talk about what we've been playing. You got a couple things here. I'm gonna let you go first and tell us what you've been playing here.
Well, I'll do the softball first because this is really easy. There's a redacted game that I can't talk about yet because I'm under embargo, but boy, am I so excited to be playing it. You can look for more on it in February. That may give you a little bit of a hint, but yeah, I'm playing it, and it's a franchise that I'm not super familiar with, although I'm familiar with the genre broadly, and so it's exciting to kind of get really hands-on on something new in that space, and so yeah, so more on that in a bit, but that's my little softball to start.
Yeah. You playing GTA 6? Is that it?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I got
we got it. Let's go. Is it terrible?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's awful. Bad. I mean, look, don't get me started on how terrible the company Rockstar is. They just fired a bunch of people for union busting. So, you know, GTA, like, you know, maybe we don't buy that game and teach them a lesson, but I can't tell everybody else what to do.
That's a tough one to scream from the heavens. Like, don't buy GTA. Listen, I get it though.
I know. I get it. Yeah, totally.
We try. I ain't got time for GTA. Ain't no time for that.
Yeah, me neither.
But we love a little tease. I'm excited to hear. I know what it is. I got the inside scoop. And I can tell them. I could just cover my mouth and say it right now and then take it out of the edit. They won't even know. But I won't. But yeah, you have been playing a game you can talk about. And that one I'm very excited about. So you've been playing Big Hops.
I have, yeah. So shout out to Chris, the solo dev of the game. I reached out on Blue Sky. I was able to get a review code for myself and Jeff. And while we will probably have an interview with him down the line, I am really excited to get to play the game now. It's going to be my January review. I haven't written it yet, so I have no idea when it's coming out. But I am going to write a review about it as well. But I've really been digging it. I'm a big 3D platformer nerd. Love, you know, the 3D Mario games. You know, I love Banjo-Kazooie. I love like collectathons and stuff. And the minute I started seeing this game, I was like, oh, I need to play this. And I've been having a blast with it. There's no combat. It's mostly puzzle solving and exploration. It's really clever. There are these different items that you can get that have different effects, and it's learning how they work and what they introduce and using your tongue in different ways. There's a lock-picking mini game with your tongue, which is really goofy and fun. It's fully voice acted, which I wasn't expecting. You know, a lot of indie games, small budgets, can't do voice acting. This is fully voice acted. One of my favorite voice actors of all time, Stephen Bloom, is like 4 different characters in the game. He does a great job as always. But it's a great voice cast, great writing. If you like charming platformers like Banjo-Kazooie and the Mario Odyssey, that kind of stuff, this game is definitely for you. It's definitely of that ilk. It's a really fun time. I'm really enjoying it. There are some parts in the beginning that like it moves slowly, or I didn't like certain things they did in certain areas, but like those are going to wash away by the time I get to the end of it, because 90% of it I'm having a blast with. So yeah, definitely check out Big Hops. I can't recommend it enough. A good early January game that I think really is worth folks' time. And I think I'm 2/3 through the game right now, so I'll probably finish it this weekend. But yeah, really digging it. Really a lot of fun.
Hell yeah. I'm gassed. I played the Next Fest demo of it. And I was following this one back on Twitter when it was still just like, look at this empty, unreal world with my character physics. I'm like, this looks cool. I'm into it. And obviously we stopped all using Twitter and back to Blue Sky and everything. But still, like this Next Fest demo was super fun. I loved the Mario Galaxy, the Mario Odyssey isms of it. That I'm like, oh, this feels clean. And like Tofr and I talk about all the time, like indie 3D platformers aren't bad, but they are, a lot of them feel like just generic. Where it's like there is a character, there is a world, and I'm just kind of platforming. It's not a lot of like uniqueness. And I really love what I played of Big Hops. It really stood out for me. So like it is on my list to get to soon. So yeah, I definitely want to dive in. It looks really fun. Like everything else that I haven't experienced yet in the demo.
Yeah, it's got a lot of heart and charm. I think if you're looking for a game that has its own personality and that really kind of meets you where you live, it's totally worth your time.
Bet. All right, Big Hops. What am I doing tonight? I'm doing Kaiju Commandos. Damn it. Maybe I could tell B I can't make it.
Yeah, right. Just bail so you can play another video game.
I'm kidding, babe. I would never. You'd be so mad at me. I'm the main character, kind of. Dope. Yes. So Big Hops. Is that just Steam right now? Is that on consoles at all?
That's Steam, Switch, and PS5.
Cool. Oh, PS5. I'm picking it up there. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, maybe Xbox as well. I'm not sure. Okay. I don't own an Xbox.
It's that that weird thing. I'm like, did it make it there? Did it make it to consoles? Did all the consoles? One of them? Who got a contract this time? I feel like it's when I came to Game Pass. I'm like, oh, I didn't know. I didn't see that advertised anywhere. But I have also been playing some games, and I was actually going to talk about these this past week, and then we couldn't do the episode because of just availability. But now I'm going to bring them up because they were cool. The first game I got to play is currently, as of recording, it's on a playtest, but it is called Far Far West. And it is this very Borderlands-esque multiplayer shooter. You're playing as these robot cowboys, and the whole premise is oh my god, they're so cool. But you run out, you get a quest, you get like the like county board of like, oh, what bandits do we need to go after, and there's a giant like vulture, there's a like living tavern that you have to take out, like all these different types of bosses. So you go out, here's where the boss is, but to activate them you have to go do a thing. So you will go and initiate that activity, you do it, the boss is unlocked. If you like to just go do the boss, you can make this as A to B, B to C, go home as you want. But you are in this open zone where there are hidden collectibles. Like there's a deceased robots you can pick up and get souls for, so you can buy upgrades or skins or everything. There's small locations that are like a monster spawner from Minecraft, where if you go there, I think you can grind out XP if you're doing it right, where you're just killing monsters and be like, oh cool, then I'll blow up the actual base and get the souls so I can go buy like upgrade cards, which are kind of like boons in Hades. Like you pick those up and they go for your run, and I get this much speed or this much damage increase, or every third bullet I shoot is explosive and blah blah blah, like stuff like that. Stylistically, I love it. It's this cyberpunky Wild West meets spectral, ghosty, all kinds of different stuff. Like it's a really weird mesh of genres, and I'm in love with it. I lost about probably 8 hours total so far playing this playtest, where I ran some solo, and then I convinced Kanai and Connor, I'm like, hey, and Chris, I'm like, if you guys are like down, just hit that playtest button and get in. We'll just go play. They immediately got in. We ran some. It ran super well. Like I was concerned it wouldn't work on my PC super well. It's like it's getting older, so I'm like, gonna have some frame issues. Ran great. I like the sense of humor in the hub world. There's a bunch of like references to stuff. You go up one of the buildings, there's a bed full of cabbages that like, because of the hitbox, you like are intentionally, like you hit it on the way up the ladder, and there's just a robot like, my cabbages. And I'm like, oh, the Avatar guy. Got it. This is cool. The cutscenes are dope. They do the like, hey, this is still playtest. I'm like, but it feels good. It feels complete. Yeah. We talked a lot in 2024 of the like early access games that this is early access. This feels really good. So I'm very impressed with where this is. I assume the playtest will be like, here's how it feels, but we want to see what are the bosses, what are the levels, what other guns you're going to unlock. It is a lot of progression. So the more I use a gun, the more it levels up, the more upgrades I can get for it. Once I hit a new level, I can get a new gun. There's a bow and arrow. There's the max upgrade now for the playtest is like ninja stars, but they're sheriff stars. So you go around and throw those. It's like level 30 something. I'm at like level 15, I think. So I still have a lot of grinding to get. But there's, you go into the mission, you jump in like all Fortnite-esque, like where we dropping, boys. And then you just kind of explore and do what you want. If you want to mainline it, you can. If you want to do the exploration, you can. It seems open to however you want to play it. Obviously, you'll get more progression and more levels if you choose to explore how you want, like see everything there is each level. But yeah, I think I'm going to lose a lot of time when this one comes out. And I'm hoping that's this year. I'd like to be able to talk about this for Game of the Year time because it's like a contender for me right now.
It looks like a lot of fun. I love the vibe of it. I love the chunky pixels. I love the I love games with an art style. Look, realism has its place, and there are plenty of games with realism that I like. But when a game has art direction and a kind of style of its own, it always immediately brings me in faster. And for you to love a multiplayer game like this says something too, because there's so many of these. And like, if one hooks you, I mean, that's. You just shot a horse.
Don't look at the horse. I got scared. I'm like, I hadn't seen the horse with me not on it. That was the first time I hopped in the horse. I'm like, is this a bad guy? And I shot the horse. It's fine. It's fine. There's actually a side quest where they'll be like, hey, I need you to bring these cows into the corral. I'm like, how do I do it? And everything, they're all robots, right? So I go up and I'm like, do I hit it? So I punch it. He's like, and it starts to walk. I'm like, can I shoot it? So I take a pistol. I'm like, bang, bang, bang. And it's just like, it runs in the direction I shoot it. So I'm like, they're forcing me to shoot the cow. I have to. It doesn't die. Right. It's just like, oh God. I'm like, okay, cool. I can shoot all the little NPCs here and they'll be fine. They're good. But yes, I did shoot the horse right in the face. I got scared.
You did.
I got scared.
But yeah, no, it looks fun. Like I don't unfortunately get to play a lot of these games just because I don't have a ton of time for online games. I'm still barely scratched the surface on Peak, which I've loved. So like, but this does look like a lot of fun, and I love when I'm playing a first-person shooter. I'm not great at them, so anyone that's like PvE, like you versus the environment with friends, those will always be my preference because I enjoy those a lot more.
Yeah. It's the PvE is everything for me. And like I said, I don't really do Borderlands like that. I didn't touch 4. We got 3. I beat 3, Platinum 3, hung it up. Like we did let's replay Borderlands 2 for the 90th time. Like I'm so sick of this game. Please stop asking me to replay it. I get it. The boner farts is a funny joke. I'm so over it. But yeah, like this is scratching that itch of, I say Borderlands, but also very Helldivers. I think is even like for a more recent one. Like if you like Helldivers 2 and the way that is, you drop in, you complete the quest, you can find the other objectives to do. It is that in like fun cartoony style. I really dig it.
Yeah. Nice.
Far west. Check it out. Playtest and then wishlisted on Steam. This is usually the part where I look at what you were going to talk about next, so I could have pulled up the trailer. I didn't think to do that, so I'm vamping and just rambling for a second, but I pulled it up, so we're good. Hey Matt, you also played another game. Now listen, I gotta tell you, you're bringing some of this AAA slop to my indie show, so we're gonna have a conversation, but I'll allow it because you're my guest today. But
okay, right.
You've been playing
Some of
Metroid
us play
Prime.
Other games. I have.
Weird.
Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. I know some of us play AAA games.
Shots at me here. And just, sorry, we play AAA. Yeah, you're damn right. I play good games. Anyway.
Okay, sure.
I
am a diehard Metroid fan. I like Metroidvanias generally, but Metroid, the franchise, are some of my favorites. The Metroid Prime games I'm fairly new to. I played the first game remaster that came out the other year, but didn't play 2 or 3 on their original platforms and didn't play them before 4 came out. But I had heard that 4 is basically a new story. It's a new starting point, and a member of Game Informer, Kyle Hilliard, in all the years that he's been podcasting on the Game Informer show, always says, play the new thing. Like, don't get caught up. Don't get caught up. Don't play all the installments to get to the new one. Just play the new thing. If it's good, you'll enjoy it. Play the new thing. And so I was like, you know what? In Kyle Hilliard's honor, I will play the new thing. And so I did. I was actually not going to pick it up just because I hadn't had time. And then my spouse got it for me as a gift, which was very thoughtful. She knows I love Metroid. And so I decided to jump in and got immediately hooked. Has its flaws. I've since finished it. Mechanically, it's solid. If you like Metroid Prime, you'll like Metroid Prime 4. Plays like a Metroid Prime game. Narratively, there's some good things. There are some bad things. I think it's gotten... the thing that got blown out of proportion a little bit is that Samus has a lot of comrades in this, other members of the Galactic Federation that she interacts with. She's mostly silent throughout the game, which is weird when people are constantly talking to her in a way that feels natural for a Zelda game, but not here. But that said, most of the characters are interesting. They're not as annoying as like the trailers might have depicted them to be. I think this game's biggest flaw is it has a giant open world connecting like several dungeon-like environments, and there's nothing to do in the open world except ride your motorcycle. And the motorcycle's cool. It's a lot of fun. It's fun to ride. It handles well, but it just feels like this game was a cobbled together thing. And like, yes, it was originally Bandai Namco, and then they gave it back to Retro Studios, and the Retro Studios who did the original Prime games needed to fix some stuff. And so like, I really enjoyed my time with it. I think that the critics were a little harsh on it, but I can see why people might not like it. I think ultimately, if you like Metroid Prime, you'll like Metroid Prime 4. If you're looking for a new Metroid game to play, if you've never played a Metroid game, I'd point you to like the Prime 1 remaster or Dread if you want a 2D one first. But it's a perfectly fine Metroid game. I also like, and you and I have talked about this a bunch. 7 out of 10 games, 8 out of 10 games are still great games. They can still be a lot of fun. 6 out of 10 games even. And so like this somewhere falls between 7 and 8 for me, but like if we had to put a number on it, but all in all, I had a good time with it. And oh my God, is it gorgeous. It's probably one of the most pretty and detailed Switch 2 games I have ever played. Like, because it's this weird, it's like, it's almost realism, but not quite because it's Metroid. Like it just looks pretty in a way. Like Donkey Kong is pretty, but this game looks really good. And so like, it was really proved that the Switch 2 can do HD 1080p really good looking graphics in a way that like I sort of believed but hadn't really experienced yet, and this game really sells it. So there's that too.
That's good to hear. I like Nintendo's always been the one they're behind. Like we just got 1080 when 4K is like the thing, and we're catching up. We finally put an HDMI on our console. Hooray. I just struggle with Nintendo games for the last 5-6 years. I can't tell you the last game that I finished on my Switch that was first party aside from Pokemon, which even then I do begrudgingly. Like Pokemon gives me beef these days, and I don't have to do a whole episode on that. But yeah, like I didn't finish Pikmin 4. I didn't finish Tears of the Kingdom. I got Mario RPG and I think Thousand Year Door remake for Christmas or something like that. Didn't touch them. Like I just don't play my Nintendo games the way that I used to. Didn't touch ZA, haven't picked up a Switch 2, but like Metroid Prime looks dope. It looks really fun. I think I'm in that spot where I am sold on the games, but not the console. Yeah. So I'm like, this is one I'd want to play on the Switch 2 if I ever got one. But if it never comes across, I won't I won't lose sleep over not playing Metroid Prime 4. But it does look cool. I do like the visual style. The bike thing, I think it was the Blue Sky post of like, oh man, I have to buy the amiibo to turn on my radio. I'm like, that's crazy. You want me to take it out of the box?
Yeah.
I'd never.
Don't even get me. I mean, I buy amiibos because I like to collect them, but like that I hate when Nintendo does that, and they've done it a lot. But I get it. I mean, look, I've said this before in Fun and Games. Is a Switch 2 worth it right now? I'd say no. For me, it was because the Switch 1 is one of my favorite video game consoles of all time. I've always wanted a hybrid console like that, and I played my Switch 1 more than any other console I've ever owned ever. So the Switch 2 is a no-brainer because it's a more powerful thing of the thing that I love. But that said, like, is Donkey Kong a system seller? Sure. So is Mario Kart. So is Metroid. So is Pokemon. But none of them, to me, like, unless you're really invested in those franchises, I think you can wait. There'll be more stuff, especially in the first full year of the console. We're going to get probably a Mario game announced. We'll probably get something else announced. Like, there'll be more reasons to buy one. But I think the urgency isn't there. It was there for me because it was a new toy and because I love the first Switch so much. But I don't think that imperative is there for the average game player.
Yeah. Yeah, I think right now for something that's leaning me towards getting a Switch 2, it's the new Fire Emblem, because I wasn't big on
Oh my God, yeah.
But I love Three Houses.
And this is basically a sequel to Three Houses, yeah.
So I'm like, hold up, maybe.
Yeah.
I might get a Switch 2 for I can't even think of the name of it, but the new Fire Emblem looks sick. So we'll see. I might scratch that itch. Maybe Nintendo will be like, hey, indie guy, you want the Switch 2 for free? Please, I'll take one.
Yeah, okay, good luck with that.
Listen, I'm trying, man. I don't want to be.
I want that for you. I want that.
Thank you. I want it for me too. Bet. On to the next game I played. This was such a silly middle of the night. We're sitting on Discord. I think we just finished watching the new episode of JJK. We're like, you just gonna like, do you want to play something together? What's this game I found on Steam? How Many Dudes? Let's see what that is. So, Matt, you're familiar with Goobies, correct? Yes, we all love a good Goobies night. So that when we found out about Goobies, we all picked it up. We sat on Discord, all screen shared, and just watched each other play Goobies. That's exactly what we did for How Many Dudes, which is this auto battler roguelike where it is the how many dudes does it take to beat a silverback gorilla? Like it's that whole thing.
Amazing, of course.
But
it's only a matter of time.
But it's so much fun. You're starting at the smallest scale. When you start a run, it's a dude versus 10 toddlers. And it auto battles. I can see it might get a little uncomfortable for people because like kids are getting beaten up. It's not violent in the visual way. Like it is just kind of like, oh, look at this. And then blood splatter here. So be warned, that is the thing that takes place. But like you finish a round and you put up like a job posting. Like I need a new dude. What kind of dude do I need? There's like necro dudes. So you got like necromancers, clerics, bards, and they're all like something dude. Very Broforce in the way they choose to do their naming scheme. And then you have some based more on movies. There's like Franken dudes. There's like the Frankensteins. There's vampires. And you kind of choose how you want to build out your army of dudes. So you want to go for like the fantasy. Do you want to do the horror side? Do you want to do more of a sciencey build? And then there's like the Balatro parts of it where I buy an upgrade that permanently says every time this happens, this will happen or blah, 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 blah. And they'll build this list of things on the side. So like the further you get in, for video watchers are seeing like how nuts these arenas get, where it's like I had bards, I had clerics. Clerics like I'm going to put 2 shields on 2 different characters, and then bards every 4 hits are going to sing a song that increases your damage, and it's just more and more. Then I got the necro dudes who would spawn skeletons. So when they start, you put in a skeleton. When a skeleton would die, it would count as an extra dude. So every time I'd spawn a dude and he would die, I had brass knuckles. So once 10 dudes would die, everybody got increased damage, and the skeletons were the frail ones. So I'd go in, kill 10 skeletons, and then everybody's just throwing hands. And it is that fun, makes my brain go ooh every time I accomplish something and find a new thing. And like, I have to take on 4 silverback gorillas and 3 unicorns. I think my army of 200 dudes can do it. Like it is very fun. Right now it's just the demo, but I had this great run. I think I got to round like 118 or something like that. I'm like, I need to go to bed. It's 2 a.m, but my team's so good. I can't stop it. I literally had to choose not to heal myself in order to like end my run. But it is very fun. I like this silly incremental auto battler thing. It just has a fun style to it, a fun vibe, and just watching the new things that come in. Like eventually you run into bees. You're like, oh, it's your 100 dudes versus like 1,000 bees, which is a lot, but they are literally just bees. So if a dude goes in and punches it, it dies. So if you have the right build, the round will start. You just hear like a bunch of bees just start to pop as you watch their health bar just drain rapidly. It's a fun time. I'm glad this game exists. This is that like itch.io, like hidden gem that no one's going to know about. You're like, hey guys, pay attention. Now I've already seen a lot of people on socials talk about it, so I was glad to try it. But it rocks. It's so cool.
Yeah, I love the kind of goofy, silly games we've come up with. There was an auto scroller I played. I think it was at PAX East last year called Skateboard Night.
Yes,
from Playism. And so like that one, you're a knight on a skateboard. You keep getting upgrades and abilities and allies as you fight bosses and enemies. And like that was a lot of fun. Also, I typically don't vibe with auto battlers, but if there's ones that have like a little bit of strategy. Ironically, as much as I said that statement, I've still yet to play the auto battler. I've never played Vampire Survivors. That is because I'm pretty confident that once I do, I'm in trouble.
Yep.
Like I played Ball Pit last year, which I loved. I didn't finish, but like that's another one. Like those games definitely scratch an itch. It's it scratches the same itch in the same way that like Slay the Spire does, right? Of like just going for runs, doing that kind of thing. And so this looks like a fun one of those that I'd be interested to try.
Yeah, I think checking out the demo was great. I haven't tried it on Steam Deck yet. I want to see. That'll be dangerous if I can play it on Steam Deck. I hope it's just like, sorry, you can't. You need mouse and keyboard. I'm like, that's fine. Cool. You save me some nights. I'll be able to actually go to bed after I do my run of Absalom. After I do my run of Moonlighter 2, I don't have to do so many dudes. But yeah, just really fun. But yeah, the demo's out now. Everyone can check it out if they wish. And you have one more you got to talk about here. You've been playing Skate Story. I'm excited about that because Tofr loves it. I don't know if Tofr's finished it yet, at least as of the time we reviewed it. But yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on Skate Story.
So I finished this earlier this month, and like, so I am bad at Tony Hawk games. I love them and respect them, but I've never been good at them. I can't pull off the tricks. I can't get the timing down. And so when I first started hearing about Skate Story, I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm not great at skateboarding games. But then it was coming to PS Plus for free, and I was like, all right, you know what? Let me give it a shot, right? Why not? It is first of all, it's contender for one of the best video game soundtracks I think ever. It's such a vibe. Okay. But like the graphics are incredible. It's the surreal story. Like if you want vibes the game, it's Skate Story. Like it's got this Unreal Engine asset looking like geometry style graphics, right? Whereas things are really abstract, really rough around the edges, but still beautiful. The lighting, some of the best lighting effects I think I've ever seen in a video game ever for something that's not realistic. And like the tricks are really easy. Hold these 2 buttons and press a third button, hold 1 button and press another button, just press 1 button repeatedly. Like it is actually really easy to play. And then like when you die, like you're made of glass, so you shatter immediately. But it gets you going immediately right away. Like it's got that Super Meat Boy kind of style of like you fail, you're on the road again. You keep going. It's got a ton of weird little guys. It's got really cool design. And then the stunts and like the boss battles are really clever. The way you slam the board into the ground to like get points to do damage. It really was super enthralling, and like while I struggled with it, it does have accessibility options as well. You can turn damage off, you can like make yourself more durable, all of these other things, but I didn't really actually feel the need to do it. There were a few sections where I needed to get through, so I did it, but for the most part I was able to meet it where it lives, and I really dug it. And then it's got this abstract story about a glass demon with a skateboard who wants to eat the moon. Sure, like you do.
Yeah, of course. Every day.
And it's got a lot of like the creators from New York, the Samang, I think is the name. It's got like there's a Metro card that's not called a Metro card in it. It's got like, you know, shades of Brooklyn and New York and Manhattan and other things in the set design. It really is just a dope fun time. I really dug it. I'm pissed because I played it. Actually, I think I finished it in December. It was one of the last games I finished last year. But then have been like tinkering with it since, still replaying missions and stuff. And like, it's one of those games that you play after you record your top 10 episode that's not airing till January. But you didn't finish this. You didn't talk about it, and so it doesn't make the list.
That's solemn for me.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, it's definitely one of those games that if you were curious about it, it's definitely worth playing. It's not very long. It's very poetic, and it's just, and like I said, it's got like, so it's funny, the Skate Story albums are split into 2, one by Blood Cultures, and I forget the name of the other composer, Jay something maybe, but like the Blood Culture songs are an album, right? Like music with lyrics, got a vibe, and then the other album is all the instrumentals, like between the stages, like when you're exploring the open world. And both albums are great in different ways, but I've been listening to the Blood Cultures album on loop basically. It's such a vibe, and so definitely worth checking out. Skate Story is a good time.
Dope. Yeah, I think I have it downloaded from PS Plus, and I want to give it a shot. I played a little bit of the demo. I think my big thing for Tofr is I didn't do Tony Hawk. That wasn't my thing, and I'm not into skateboarding games. But I think it's a narrative game where the locomotion is skateboarding. That is a different way to play that. So I'm like, this might be more up my alley. Plus, it's a Devolver Jaunt, so I want to give it a shot.
If you like platformers, you'll like this, because that's basically what it is. It's a skateboarding platformer is basically the scope of the game.
Sell me a little bit. We'll see. We'll put it in the backlog, you know. We know.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're Dave Jackson, how often we get to those.
Yeah, this is totally true.
Bet. I have one more, and we played this on stream last night, so I won't go too long because you can watch the VOD and see. But my friend Sarah, the Hype Goblin, she got a few keys for Voidtrain, which is, I think, recently 1.0 release game. That's a survival game on a train. And I've had this on my wish list for like a long time, and I always thought it looked dope, but I was like really happy to finally check it out. It's pretty fun. It seems really simple in the way it is constructed off the rip. You go in, you hop on the train. Hey, you just have like the one cart, the handle to make it move, the brake, reverse, etc. And as you're going through, you're in the void, which is a big zero gravity space. If you jump off the train, you're tethered to it, so you can't just get lost in the abyss. You can just grab and pull yourself back. But you're grabbing floating wood and scrap metal and everything, and using all that stuff to upgrade your train. As you ride the train down the track, you're finding like a depot station, which is filled with enemies or resources. You're doing all these different things to progress. Once you get through that depot station, that's kind of like level 1. We died on like a trial, which wasn't like, oh, that's the end of the run. I think we were playing on kind of easy mode. We didn't lose our stuff or anything. So I don't know how truly challenging this game can get. But like looking at the trailers, all these goofy, like this is a boot jumping into a hole and like what is happening in this universe. But we've fallen for it. It was myself, Sarah, Mallory, and LB all playing this game last night. It ran pretty poorly on my computer trying to stream it at the same time. So I want to try and run it yet without streaming, just playing it on full quality settings. But you can customize the guns. You're finding parts, but you have to upgrade your trains so you have enough space to put in an armory so you can do that. You find these little guys called Reflemos, I think is what they're called. But they end up living on your ship and they work with you. So if you're like, hey, I need you to go over there and grab this thing, or I'm going to almost Power World like, where I'm going to set you to work on this station. You cultivate the food. You go collect wood and everything as we pass it by. It's a lot of that stuff, but the more you want on your team, you need to make your ship longer. So you need to keep upgrading your train. So it's got 10 cars, 5 cars. Oh, now you have space for this. You put in the armory, the smelter. Literally, LB, one of my partners, she doesn't play a lot of games on her own. Typically, if she's playing games, it's whatever we're playing for stream. They're playing through Life is Strange now. And then, oh, it's late at night. Let's all just hop on Rivals. That's kind of how she plays. Literally, as we were getting on here to record today, Steam goes, boop, boop. LB's playing Voidtrain. I'm like, you're liking that game, aren't you, babe? And like, I have Discord up to have your face cam, so I do not know if she's replied to me yet and what she said, but I'm prepared for her to be like, this is strange. I don't play games like this. I'm really into Voidtrain. This is fun. I'm having a really good time. I want to explore it more and see what else there is. Because again, what we've seen has been so linear. We're on the train, we fight some dudes, we get back on the train. And the trailer shows so much more in customization, decoration, the worlds. There's this big cool floating whale thing. It looks dope. Like, I want to see how wild this game can get. And I still feel like I'm so early on for what this game has to offer. And as someone who doesn't like survival games, I feel like they always feel so open-ended where I just don't want to stick around and put my time into it because I won't get that satisfying story beat or anything. I'm not feeling that with Voidtrain right now. I'm feeling the desire of just progression in my train and leveling that up. And that's very fun.
Yeah, survival games are hit or miss for me. I've found that the best ones, though, are more about the people I'm playing with. Like my experience with like Valheim or with, you know, Minecraft, of course. Like when I play with friends that I can consistently play with and do stuff with, it's always more fun. And this looks like a lot of fun to like grab a core group of folks and just play over and over again. Yeah. If you've got a weekly gaming group, and it's another one that's got like a capital E aesthetic, A aesthetic, A. The word aesthetic starts with the letter A, Matt.
Yep.
Good Lord, Matt, you're in your 40s. You should know how to spell aesthetic.
Capital A I still say Wednesday to find out how to spell Wednesday. Yep, got it. To get her is how you spell together. Yep.
Anyway. But like this has got that vibe that it's like it's got an original look. It looks like it's got a design and a style and a vibe that really stands out. That's what got me into Valheim back in the day. Is like it looked so cool, like the aesthetic of it. And so games like this, I'm more inclined to play if they've got that kind of aesthetic vibe where it's like, oh, this is a full realized world with characters and unique style and something I want to engage with. And the idea of building a train as you're going, sort of like how Raft works, where you're building a raft as you're going, like it's got that same kind of vibe. And I think that's always a fun camaraderie of like, okay, we're on the thing we need to build. How do we build it? Yep. And like you said, just the things you get in the trailer that they show that we're watching here, like looks so cool. And so like, while I would never play something like this on my own, if I could get a bunch of other folks to play along with, I think it would be a good time.
Yeah, I think the one thing I wanted to mention, because you brought up Raft, somebody in our chat was like, oh, so this is like Raft on a train. I think I have not played Raft. I've watched people play Raft, but that is a lot more of the, oh, my boat has been destroyed. I do have to repair it to some degree. The train does take damage that can happen, but maybe it's just the difficulty we played on. It really didn't become a detriment. But like maybe this giant space shark would come and bite our ship. Like, oh no, my thing went from 100 health to 99. Shoot. Bing, and just like fix it real quick. Like I never felt the danger in this world. And maybe we are still just in that tutorial section of the game where we're not going to experience that yet. But the last thing we got was a trial where there's this big green goblin looking dude who's like, hey, you want to do some trials and fight some bugs? And we got like 3 runs in and they just mutilate us. Like, all right, thanks for watching, guys. We're done. That was brutal. So we might be hitting those like stronger, more dangerous parts. But it's been a vibe so far. I'm having a very cozy time with it.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, that's what we've been playing. Timestamp. There we go. Perfect. Let's see. I got to get you rolling here. We got to get on to indie games releasing this week. So let me run through these real quick. This is for January 22nd through January 28th. January 22nd, we have Hermit and Pig coming to Steam. Does say February 5th on Steam. Interesting. I think that must be Game Informer's list has changed. So let me double check, because Game Informer has that. See, it was funny when I pulled this up, because I'm like, let me see what else I can fill this. And Jill's list didn't have it. I'm like, Jill didn't have Herman and Pig? Weird. Bet. All right. Hey, don't worry about it. Herman and Pig's not out yet. Don't worry about me.
Yeah, you got time.
Jill's good.
Time for that.
But keep an eye on Herman and Pig. That was a cute one. I enjoyed it.
Oh my god, it looks so good. I'm so stoked for that game. It looks like a vibe.
I played the demo during like 4 Next Fest ago. I'm like, this is fun. I think I got to a point where I couldn't tell if I just wasn't smart or if the demo wasn't built properly. So I'm like, this was fun. I'll wait till it's fully done. But yeah, no Herman and Pig, but still January 22nd, we have Perfect Tide Station to Station coming to Steam. Look, Mom, No Computer on Steam, PlayStation, and Xbox. A huge one I'm looking forward to, Cult of the Lamb Woolhaven on Steam, Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox. Blade Song Early Access coming to Steam. January 23rd, we have Escape from Ever After on Steam, Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox. We also have Nested Lands in Early Access coming to Steam. January 26th, we have Wanderling coming to Steam. January 27th, we have Rightfully Bury Arms coming to Steam and Xbox. Then January 28th, we have Core Keeper coming to Switch, and then Dispatch coming to Switch. Big day for January. That's a good one. Anything on this list grabbing your attention that you're jazzed to play or looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, so I haven't played Dispatch yet. I've heard great things. I'm an Aaron Paul fan. I'm a big fan of his. I like a lot of the stuff he's done. I'm glad that he's voice acting in games, because one of my favorite performances he did was Todd in BoJack Horseman. I thought he was great in that, which was an animated show. And so I'm glad he's doing more voice acting. I don't know if I'll pick it up on Switch.
Yeah.
Telltale games and games like them feel like a PlayStation game to me, because I can play them on the TV. Feels like watching a TV show. But I am excited to eventually play Dispatch. I've yet to play Cult of the Lamb, so maybe now is the time to jump in. My problem is that like life sim games, I fall off real quick. I bought Potion Permit when it came out. Yeah, I loved it until like resources got scarce, and I was like, oh, I gotta work harder. So like I fall off of life sims, but I've heard Cult of the Lamb is a really good one, so I am interested in playing it. And then like Perfect Tide Station to Station, so we got to interview the creator back at PAX, which was a blast. And I've never played the original Perfect Tides. And so what I'm probably going to do is after Station to Station comes out, just pick up both the first game and Station to Station and play them back to back. Because I love point-and-click adventure games. I love narrative games. I love coming-of-age stories. I'm a sucker for them. And so I think that's going to be a really good one of those as well.
Yeah, I remember we recently did our indie draft, and Roger, I think, had picked up Perfect Tides. And when I saw it, I'm like, Station to Station, like the train game? Like, is there a boat one coming out? And I had to really think. And then I saw it again. I'm like, oh, right. Perfect time. Got it. So the Station to Station threw me off. I'm like, the franchise. Weird the way they changed that. Yeah, I think it looks really cool. I like the visual style. I already mentioned I'm excited for Cult of the Lamb. That was a huge one for us when it dropped. I played through it twice on PS4 and 5, platinum it twice.
Of course,
I loved it. Yeah, we had like the hardcore Danny one where I'm just playing to play. Like I'm beating the bosses, I'm min-maxing whatever. Then we had our stream one, which we still played through, not to like completion the way I did the first one, but it was like they had chat integration where people could name themselves after a villager, but it was only if you had the Steam one. So like my PlayStation, I made a channel appointment where someone's like, I want to be the fox. I'm like, cool, but you have to be blue because that's our brand. And then as people would join and play, and it's like, Cartoon Burb is eating poop in the lobby. No, stop doing that. It's like, Aid Medic is trying to raise up against you. Like, hey, don't trust Danny. Put him in the like the stocks. Like, hey, do not speak ill of me. Like, it was very fun to have like that community connection with Cult of the Lamb. And I've not touched any of the DLC. I got both platinums before the first expansion dropped. Nice. So I will, when I get back into this, it will be so much new stuff that I've not seen. And I'm contemplating, do I start a new save on PlayStation, or do I just like pick up where my other one is and see what all new stuff gets thrown in my face as soon as it starts? And it's probably what's going to end up happening as the second one. But yeah, that, and of course Dispatch ended up being the Playlog game of the year with how numbers came out. And I was a huge fan of it. I'm very excited for people to be able to play Dispatch on the Switch. Just a banger. Yeah. I love it. I've talked about the Telltale-isms and how I love Telltale, but they have growing pains and issues with them and the quality. And I think Dispatch was just hey, we can do better. This is what Telltale developers can do, and they nail it. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Boom. Timestamp, which means we're under Indie Spotlight. We're going to spotlight an underrated indie game. So Matt, you're a guest. I gave you the opportunity to bring a game for us. What you got for Indie Spotlight?
So I'm bringing a little game called Demonschool. We were supposed to talk about it on this very podcast a little sooner, but somebody didn't get around to playing it.
I'm trying. I'll try.
But Demonschool is a tactics RPG that meets like Buffy, but it's about demons instead of vampires. Like, I had been eyeing this game, so it's published by Eastbird, it's developed by Necrosoft. I had been following this game basically since its inception. We got to interview Brendan several times, the lead dev on it, for the podcast at several PAXs. And like, I could not wait for this game to come out. And so when it came out in November, I was lucky enough to get a review code, wrote a detailed review about why I loved it. But I wanted to spotlight it here too, because it's only got like 740 reviews on Steam. I think, like, in my circles, it was a huge hit, but I don't know how common knowledge that is. But like, it's just got a great story. If you're a fan of like the Monster of the Week Buffy style storytelling, but with large diverse character rosters, unique bosses, and unique strategy RPG elements, I can't recommend it enough. I am what clinically you would call a dum-dum, and so for me strategy games can be tough, but like this game, the way they boil it down and make it accessible is mind-blowing. I played it on the Switch. I really loved it. Like, it's all low numbers. The most damage you can do is like 4 or 5. The most damage you can take is like 4 or 5, and it's just there, you know, there's like kind of a rock paper scissors, like weaknesses, strengths to the different elemental abilities of both the player characters and the enemies. And it's really just finding weaknesses, using the right player characters. You get a roster of like 12 characters, and it's just really a unique and interesting vibe with a great story that is very comedic and earnest in the beginning, and then becomes pretty heartfelt and inspiring towards the end. It's really great writing. It's so unserious in the beginning in a way that I wasn't expecting. It really seemed more dramatic, and then when I started playing it and it's just goofy as hell, I was like, oh, this is exactly the vibe I wanted.
Yeah.
And I just think more people need to play this game. It runs great on Switch. I played it on my Switch too. I loved it. It also runs great on Steam. It's been on sale a bunch. I think that if you're looking for an interesting RPG, also I didn't mention there are Persona-like like hangout things where you can build relationships. You can smooch people, folks. There's relationship building. We love the smooching. And so like it's also like cast wise, just like ethnicity, like pronouns, sexuality, like diverse in every way you can think of the word diverse, in a way that a lot of RPGs aren't. And so like, we're not looking at a sea of white folks in this game, and I love that too. So it's just it really is a thoughtful and interesting indie RPG that I cannot recommend enough. It was my number 2 game of, like, if it weren't for Clair Obscur, it would have been my number 1. It was my number 2 last year, and I think it's in my top 10 or top 15 indie games of all time, full stop. Like, I want to replay it. I really loved it. There was just so much to do in it. It was so much fun. Definitely, if you have not played Demonschool, you need to go out there and play it, because I think it is just doing so many cool and unique things that other games in the indie space aren't doing.
Yeah. I've only played up to like the first major boss. I beat them. That's where I was like, save, come back to this, and just got away from me. I've loved it. I played the demo, was huge on it. You had mentioned the accessibility of the combat, and that was big for me, where you kind of like, you place out your turn, like, I'm going to do this, do that, and they're like, okay, this is what will all take place. You're like, ooh, that's not going to work because I'm not going to kill that thing. So run it back 3 steps, do it again. If I go this way, then this way, that'll kill all 5, got perfect. And like finding that pattern, I really like that in a game like this, that very XCOM-y kind of, that was a weird way to phrase that, the very XCOM-esque kind of like combat. I'm big on it. I really like what I've played so far, and I'm excited to dive in more. And there's a character in this trailer that I've not met, her there with the dress and the big lightning looking earrings. I'm like, wait, you're cool looking. Wait, I like you. So I'm excited to meet them.
Yeah, there's lots of characters in this game, all interesting, different mechanics, different abilities, variety of healers, casters, you know, stage control, like all sorts of really cool stuff. You're definitely gonna love it.
Oh yeah, guys, check out Demonschool. I think it's everywhere. I'm playing on PlayStation, Switch, Steam.
So it's on PlayStation, Switch, Steam. And
Don't know about Xbox?
I think it's everywhere. Yeah.
If you're on Xbox, check, and if not, go buy a PlayStation. That's it.
Yeah.
Bet I've already kept Matt 5 minutes longer than I think we needed to, so let's get ready to wrap this bad boy up. Matt, thank you so much for joining me. This was a blast. I'm so glad we could have you.
Thanks for having me. I love the podcast. I'm a big fan of you and Tofr. You both have done SideQuest episodes. Love collabing with you, and I was excited to get to be a part of it. It's always fun chatting with you. Excited to see you in March. I can't believe PAX is already in March.
Wild.
It's coming so fast.
It's wild.
Too fast.
I got D&D friends trying to get me to go to GaryCon, which I'm probably going to, but it's literally GaryCon, come home, PAX. Like I'm like, I'm so tired, but it's fine. It's fine. It'll be good. It'll be a great time to see all kinds of friends. But yeah, real quick, if anyone, the last minute plugs, things you got coming up, things you want to talk about, places people can find you, hit them.
Sure. So the best place to go for everything that I'm doing is DJStormageddon.com. That is also my handle for Blue Sky, where I'm most active. But that's where you can find links to the Fun and Games Patreon, which has a free tier. You get all the articles I write for free. You get all of the regular episodes of the podcast, all of the main stuff, side quests, all of that, all at the free tier. And then if you pay a little bit of money, you can get exclusive episodes, bonus stuff, all sorts of really cool stuff. If you want to just subscribe to the pods, Reignite and Fun and Games links are there. Yeah, that's the best place to find me. I'm active on Blue Sky and Instagram mostly, but if you want to get in touch, Blue Sky is the best place.
Perfect. Guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, like the video on YouTube, leave the 5-star review on all the podcast services. Tofr is a little out of commission at the moment, so our most anticipated episodes would push back a bit. As far as I know, scheduling it should be this episode, and then I think we'll be back with our most anticipated. If not, Tofr fibbed to you. Blame Tofr. It wasn't me. I did everything right. That's all. But yes, Matt, thank you again for joining us. Always a blast. Can't wait to see you in March. You guys, go drink some water and stretch a little bit. We'll see you in the next one. Mwah.
Bye.